All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. I know you're not here yet, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's look and see. So, welcome to WitchLab Wednesday Live. I'm Tiffany Boggins, your host, and today we have Mat Auryn on the show. Very excited about this. Oh, right. I'm so excited. I've got the date. It's August 24th, 2022. And let's see. Fun stuff. So, you guys are rolling in slowly. Let's see, where's my comments? Okay. All right. So yeah, Mat Auryn's on the show today. He is the author. Oh, damn it, I forgot my book. All right. He's the author of Psychic Witch and the new and much anticipated Mastering Magic that is coming out in October. We're very excited about that. Let's go back to my notes real quick. All right. So guess what, guys? I had a birthday. I turned 50. It's official. I'm out of my 40s, and here I am. I bought myself I know you probably can't see this, but it's actually Stark Industries Rocks glass because I don't know, whatever. I can drink like Tony Stark now. Let's see. Oh, there's Peoples. Hi, Christy. Hey, Laura. Tarot Stash. That's a great name. Hey, Peggy. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for coming. I know it's been a little while. This is my 1 August show, and how great that we have Mat Auryn on today. Oh, Peggy, you're too sweet. Thank you. So I went to the beach for a week with the family, and I'm cultivating these like beach curls now, which I've had curly hair my whole life, and I've never known how to work it. And it took my 15-year-old daughter to help me. So, that's how that goes. Hey, James. So yeah, let's go back to notes. I have to go back towards between notes and comments. So, exciting local news. The Magical Druid, one of the other local magic shops in town, one we love very much. They have moved. They are open today in their new location, still on High Street, which is 2887 North High. Go see them. I can't wait to go see them. I'm very excited. They have a big, beautiful new shop. Let's see. Dark Market news. There's a bunch of stuff. For those of you who don't know, Dark Market is WitchLab's big event this year. We haven't had it since 2018 because of the plague, but we're back and in full force. It's happening October 22nd and 23rd, and there's so much entertainment. There's amazing giants who are the big stilt walker, fire breathing, wonderful people walking around. Sacred shimmy, tribal belly dancing. Emmy Lazarus and the Recently Deceased, which is a very fun band, spooky 60s garage rock band. Lance Cashmere, Charming Disaster is going to be here too. They were recently at the Buckland Museum in Cleveland. And Discarded Mischief. Lecture series. Najah Lightfoot will be here. Ivo Dominguez Jr. will be here. One of my absolute favorite people in the world. So is Najah. Estrella Taylor. The lineup is fantastic. Mark Williams will be giving a talk on Embodying Lilith, his new book. And so it's about Lilith and Kabbalah. Yafa Spirit will be doing a tarot presentation. Estrella Taylor will actually be doing our opening ritual. It's going to be this beautiful Aphrodite ritual. She's also teaching a class on Medusa. So these are all very, very cool things. 40 vendors, after party is going to be amazing. Food trucks, beverages, all the fun stuff. So yeah, and it is for charity. Proceeds are going to go to a local charity, something like Kaleidoscope or AFO, which is the Abortion Fund of Ohio, which was formerly Women Have Options, which is how most of you guys know them. But yeah, there's so many more things, and I don't want to get stuck too much on it. But October 22nd, 23rd, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, so just real quick, go through things that are coming up. And this is the first time I've gone through the upcoming events for WitchLab itself in a couple of months, and there's a lot. So I'm going to try to go through it real quick. Tomorrow night is Tarot and Kabbalah with Mark Williams. This is going to be a fantastic class. He talks about the major arcana and how it aligns up with the paths on the Tree of Life, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. And so any of you who have been taking the regular tarot classes, you just want to know more about how Kabbalah relates to tarot. It really deepens your understanding of both systems. And 100% of those ticket sales are going directly to AFO, Abortion Fund of Ohio. Again, formerly known as Women Have Options. WitchLab Book Club, Cultum Librorum. They are on the last Sunday of the month. So I think that's this one coming up, Sunday the 28th. This month's book was Intuitive Witchcraft by Estrella Taylor. I know it's coming up quick, but you can still join. If you want to join in with that, let me just give you a link real quick. If you join the Facebook group, make sure you answer the questions. Otherwise, they won't approve you joining. But I mean, it's free to join and you can just pop in. And sometimes we get the authors to actually sit in too. So that's really, really worth it. You get to hear their take on it. So yeah. Sunday, September 4th, the monthly Circle of the Dark Mother online discussion group will be taking place. It is about Barakiel this month. This is our longest running event ever, is the Circle of the Dark Mother discussion group. And it's fantastic. That one, it is online only. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you can access that through the WitchLab Facebook page. There's just an event and it has a link and you just go to it. Don't have to pay anything. Wednesday, September 7th is our next death discussion, which is now known as Maranasati. God damn it, I can never say that right. There's a lot of A's in that word. Maranasati, I think. A Mindful Death. It's previously known as the Death Cafe. It's run by Megan Fiscus. But it's changed the name because evidently Death Cafe is like a national organization that you have to go by their guidelines to use that name. We just found that out. So it's not called that anymore. It's now called Maranasati, A Mindful Death. Thursday, September 8th, Tarot Tea Party with Libby Bruce. This month is the Suit of Swords. We're going to be deep diving into that. And this is the first time that I've been able to announce the Tarot Tea Party that it hasn't been sold out already. And when I looked at it today at 2 p.m., it was not sold out. So get on it. September 10th, Mark Williams is actually going to be coming to the shop to do a book release for Embodying Lilith. He'll be doing a little talk, reading from the book and signing. And he's just a lovely person to hang out and listen to. And again, that's a free event. We're just asking that you sign up online just so that we can keep an eye on numbers. September 21st, Shiva Honey will be joining us here on WitchLab Wednesday Live to discuss her new book, The Devil's Death, Your Satanic Companion for Grief and Dying. Shiva's been on the show twice, I think. She's fantastic. Let's see. Friday, September 23rd, the Art of Sigil Witchery Workshop in person with Laura Tempest-Zacroft at WitchLab. That's coming up in less than a month. No, it's a month. Less than a month by a day. But yeah, get on it because there's limited tickets for that. And that's not going to be online. It's just in person, I think. I'm not sure about that, but I think it is just in person. December 8th and 9th. This is new. December 8th and 9th, we're going to have Sandra Lambert. She's a woman who contacted me. She's going to be driving through Ohio in December. And she offers aura photography. And readings. And then she, talks to you about it. And I've never seen aura photography done. So I'm super excited. And I managed to have her come on the same weekend that Jason Mankey and Estrella Taylor will be at WitchLab doing their book release. Yeah. Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods. Very excited about both of them. I've interviewed Jason a couple of times. I love him. I cannot wait to hang out with him in person. And I know that he has a whole selection of whiskeys that he's bringing for me and my boyfriend, Jason, to drink with him. Right? Very excited. Let's look at some comments real quick. I think that's everything that's coming up. And I'm out of breath now because I'm trying to read it so fast because there's so much. But you can always go back and watch the beginning of the show if you missed anything. Or just go to the Facebook page, look at the events that are there. Most of them are there. Yeah, so let's see. What's we got? Yeah, yes, Laura's book. Yeah, so Laura wrote Sigil Witchery, and she's going to be here to teach it as well. She's going to be in Ohio for, I think, that whole weekend. She's passing through because she's doing another thing, but she's going to be at the Buckland Museum, too, in Cleveland while she's here. So you can catch her at either place. I'm not sure what she's doing up there. But Jason Mankey and Estrella, I believe, are jumping back and forth, too. We tend to do that with the museum. It's nice because then you don't have to drive too far if you want to see them. If you're in Ohio, that is. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Peggy. Sigil Magic is only in person. Thank you. I appreciate you. And And yes, Rachel, we would love to see you for a visit. Please come back for a little bit. And I saw that you are actually on the list to take the online class tomorrow night, which means I get to see you, which I'm very excited about. Okay, I don't think there's any questions. Oh, you've had aura photography done a few times. That's cool. I've never seen it, and I'm really excited about it. And you love my necklace, by the way. Thank you. This necklace strangely matches this dress because it's like red china pattern, but it's made by a local woman named Eliza Quay, and she runs Rock and Metal, and she's amazing. And we carry her stuff in the shop, so you can always come by and see what else she has. She's rad. All right. I think that that's enough of me talking at you guys. I say we get our guest out here. My guest tonight is a witch, a professional psychic. He is a speaker. He is an occult teacher. And he is the author of the incredible book, Psychic Witch, which I would hold up right now because I have it in the other room. But it's okay. I'm sure you guys know what it looks like already because everybody has read it except for me. And I finally have. And it's fucking amazing. And I can't wait to talk to him. Anyway. I digress in the middle of an intro. And the much anticipated and soon to be released Mastering Magic, which I do have a graphic for because I wasn't expecting to hold back because it's not out yet. This is this beautiful book. Oh, the cover of this and Psychic Witch, which I'm sure Matt will have and can show you guys if you haven't seen it. But yeah, fantastic. Again, I digress in the middle once again. But yeah, they are a very big name in our witch community and someone that I have been wanting to talk to for a very long time and get on the show. Dear friends, allow me to introduce Mat Auryn.
Hi, Tiffany, and WitchLab and everyone else.
Hello.
So I actually, while you were saying that, I ran and I grabbed the book cover.
Excellent.
Witch. Where's my camera?
Perfect. Like I said, I actually hadn't read the book until this week because I read books for shows and I hadn't gotten a chance to read yours before and blew me away. I actually have a whole thing I want to say to you about it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just want to get this out because it surprised me when I first picked it up and it hooked me. It hooked me quickly because one, it's super amazingly organized and easy to read for ADHD people, which I know that you have talked about before and hugely helpful. But the foreword by Devin Hunter and then the introduction by you both hooked me with witches and psychics, and it's two sides of the same coin. I grew up reading any fiction I could get my hands on when I was a kid that had anything to do with psi, like psychic abilities and ESP and like, and then anything on witchcraft, which at the time I was really young and it was only fiction I could get a hold of, right?
Yeah.
And at the time I was so young, I didn't know that witchcraft was real. I just wanted it to be. And in my mind, witchcraft was when my brother's not home, I know where he is, kind of ESP stuff,
Me too. In fact, my library at my elementary school ended up pulling everything on witchcraft out of the library because I started checking out anything on witchcraft and I got a bunch of kids to do it too. So you don't get much. It's like Roald Dahl witches, things
right,
like that. But I did discover, because Time Life has like books on like paranormal things. And they had one on witchcraft, which was mostly like folklore and stuff like that. But at the very end, it was like modern day witches. And it had like Anton LaVey, like you would expect. And then it had a small thing with Maxine Miller and her like people like out on a hill. And that's where I learned the word Wicca and that like people actually practice witchcraft as a religion. And that like opened a whole world for me. Sorry to interrupt, but
no.
I totally relate to the
this is your interview.
Looking for anything and like only getting like little kid fiction.
Yeah, and it was frustrating. But and this is the reason I think that your book fills a gap is because even when I did find, when I was 15 and I found Wicca, which at the time was told to me was all witchcraft was. If you're looking for witchcraft, this is what it is. That's the end of the story. Here's Cunningham, here's Buckland. And as much as I really wanted to be a witch, it really left me flat in the areas of actual psychic development. Like they talked a little bit about visualization and they talked a little bit about divination, but they didn't really go into how to really develop your skills.
Right.
Well, and that was really frustrating.
Is like even the older occultists that influenced them, like Valiente and like the Victorian occultists and theosophists and Golden Dawn people, like they always emphasize the power of the mind and how important the mind is in magic, but then like no one really focused on it, you know?
Yeah, it was frustrating because it was more like, well, just keep, celebrating the holidays and just keep worshiping the deities and it'll come. And it wasn't until I got out of that and I saw a much broader view of what the occult was that I was like, oh, there's so much more to it, because I had pretty much given up because it wasn't what I wanted it to be, not realizing I just didn't know yet.
Right. Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
had a similar. I got into witchcraft very, very, very young, and then about high school ish, I went through my rebellion phase where I was reading Anton LaVey and
Mhm.
hardcore atheist nihilist, and then after that, like I went into various spiritual paths that eventually led me back to witchcraft, and it wasn't until I just happened to pick up a book by Christopher Penczak, and I was reading it, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's depth here that like I hadn't read in any other books," and so that kind of re-sparked like a thirst to like, well, let's explore, this thing that I was super into when I was younger, and it's just been downhill running since.
But with this new, like, they're finding that other layer,
Yes.
like, I think that's amazing. Let's see what people have to say. Hey, Tony. Tony's here. This is Tony from the museum, for those of you who don't know. The Buckland Museum up in Cleveland, Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. So let's see. Tarot Stash remembers that series of books, like the Time Life Supernatural. You can
Yeah.
still find them sometimes. We have a few in our library at WitchLab that is like,
I always eye those, and they had another series, I think it was like The Enchanted Realm or something, where it was all like fairy tale looking covers, and I always see those on eBay every now and then, and I want to buy them, but they tend to be like $1,000 to $3,000 for the whole set.
holy, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Hello, Michael. Hello, everybody. It's so nice that you guys are all here. Yay. Okay, so to get back to what so your whole idea, the elevator pitch, right, that being a witch includes being psychic and here are the exercises, I thought that was everything. I feel like it opened all three of my eyes at once and just like, holy shit, this is great, this is exactly. So yeah, like your the whole intro got me. And as we say in the ADHD thing, like, it's not a focus problem, it's an interest problem. And so you hooked me. I got really interested, and I have just been reading it nonstop. And it feels like, because I have been sort of practicing a lot of these things, but rather disjointed, it felt like it filled in the map for me. Like it filled in a lot of like where exactly does that go? How does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And when you incorporated things like neuroplasticity, hermeticism, shadow work, the world tree is representing the levels of self, these things made me really excited to be like, okay, now, okay, this is where we put these things. So like it all the practice that I've been doing, where I've been grounding and centering and doing a lot of these things, but I didn't have the exercises for actually building psychic stuff. And so this part's really exciting for me.
Well, and also like another thing that I really wanted to do with that book is, I see a lot of books where they talk about grounding or they talk about centering or these various practices, but they don't really explain the why or like what exactly it is. And particularly with sort of the new age influence and then the influence of people just kind of repeating each other like over like a couple decades, some of the terms get mixed together and confused, when really like they're separate, and understanding like the definitions of the separate things totally, like you're like, oh, that's what I'm doing, this is why I do it. An example is like grounding and centering, like you were saying, like those are usually used together as one package, but understanding the difference, I feel, is very important when it comes to kind of harnessing your energy when it comes to anything, whether it's magic or psychic ability or.
I liked the when you talked about using the lower self, the intuition, as opposed to the psychic kind of channel, right? It's like the lower self. upper self, higher self. I think it was chapter 6. Where's my notes? Where was it? Chapter 6, the triple souls of the witch. There were some points in here that really grabbed me in a whole way that I just want to shout out to all the listeners so that they can kind of understand why everybody is so excited about this book. So I have to tell you, since it came out, which is I think in 2020, didn't it?
Yes, 2020.
Since then, it has been nearly impossible to keep on the shelves. And I'm not the only shop that says that. Like when I go visit, they're like, "Oh my God, fucking Psychic Witch, man!" Like, right? You got to order like 1 million of them because people love it because you're really speaking to them in a way. And again, I'm embarrassed it took me this long to read it, but I'm on board.
Yeah, I've been very blessed with how well received it's been. I've actually never seen it in a shop. Like every time I go to a
Because
bookstore
it's
or
always
a
sold out.
metaphysical store, it's sold out, which is like a great thing, you know, for my perspective. But I still haven't had that experience of like going into a shop and like seeing, oh, my book is real, it's being sold, which is, you know.
Well, we currently have 7 copies because I had just reordered, I think like a week or 2 ago, and that's how many we have left now. But we actually do have some, so
Hey.
I know because I had to go get one. But yeah, it's fantastic. Let's see, powerful to answer the why as part of the teaching. Often people are told to just do it, and answering the why is critical. Agreed. And yes, it's I feel like it's almost a daily devotional development book. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And some of them are so simple. Like I've literally been doing that whole like counting backwards from 100 over and over. I want to see how far I can get before I lose it. You know.
Yeah. And that was one of the biggest feedbacks I got, along with ADHD and aphantasia, which is the inability to see images on command. And so with Mastering Magic, I actually approached those. I started talking to people with ADHD and with aphantasia and was like, okay, well, like here's a bunch of exercises that work for me that may work for you. And we whittled it down to like what works best for them across the board. So there are some alternatives to some of those basic practices. And the counting down, people, that is the one exercise I get the most complaints and questions about. You don't have to start at 100 to 0 3 times straight. And I should have clarified this. In another part of the book, I talk about how meditation and these psychic practices are like lifting weights, right? Like you start low and you work up. So it's okay to start with 10 to 0. And then once you have that mastered 3 times, move up to 25, 50, and then 100.
I found that people tend to have that blockage because if it's too big of a chunk, they get discouraged. But the thing you were talking about moving up slowly, and the dangers of magical impact was really something, because I do know people who have been doing this for a long time, and it's almost like they are kind of lost in that world a little bit, and they're kind of scrambled a little bit. And I wonder if there was something that happened in their early development that sort of like made that like the magical impact was just so much that it kind of jarred them.
Right. And that's, you know, and I've had that experience. So I know what that feels like. I didn't know what it was at the time. I had to ask my teacher, like why am I feeling this way? But that's why, you know, like on one hand, a lot of the things in Psychic Witch are kind of basic, like things that you're taught in other books or other courses as like, oh, we do this and then you move on. And then people just kind of like, it's a checklist, like, oh, I know how to do that thing, I can move on to greater things. But like the emphasis I really tried to put in this book is like, no, those are crucial. Like you need to keep revisiting them. And like it's what's going to keep you building and not frying out on all levels.
Yeah, going back to your basics. Yeah, you mentioned that in the book numerous times, and I think that that's a really good thing because people forget that because they're like, oh, I know how to do that.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, I've been doing a lot of the things in your book for many, many years, off and on, right? So I understand them, but you having the why, having it as part of a sort of progression, And it's so easy to get to them too, where you're like, go back and do this, and I'm like, oh sweet, I can find that, and now I can do that. I almost feel like I want to put them on cards, so I could just be like, okay, we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. So I think it'd be easy to, then just like flip them through, sort of like playing D&D, and you have all your spells, and you know what comes next. That makes any sense. Okay, so Greg says, it sounds like a book I need to get. I do struggle with reading based on my ADD and a bit of dyslexia. Is there a way to get this book that you're talking about? Yeah, we have them on our website. You can get them on Amazon. We can, and then there's other magic shops that have them online. Was that?
Audible as well.
Audible, yes. So you can listen to it. I actually know a couple of people, they got introduced to it by listening to it, and they loved it. And I can see that because it's a very nice, smooth journey, and it's weird to say this, but it's strange that a book like this doesn't already exist. Like you kind of like got together the information that we've all needed to have in one spot without having a lot of dogma, without having a lot of like God and goddess stuff, because that's the stuff that tends to turn me off from reading things where I'm like, well,
you're going to love mastering magic then. There's going to be some people that don't. So because of that reason.
You make that it's sort of a leap that you make anytime you put anything out in the world. There's going to be people who like it, and there's going to be people who don't, and that's totally fine.
One of the things I take on in that is like gender in the occult, and like let's look at that. Like let's look at this metaphor that the Victorians and people before that and Edwardians used that is ingrained in our practices. And like, what did they really mean? Let's look at their words, and then you find like they're not talking about gender at all. So it's one of those weird, like, why are we using gender as a metaphor when our understanding of gender has changed? Absolutely. And the metaphor falls short for what they're trying to explain. And I think some people are going to love that and think it's like, oh, okay, like I get it. And then some people are going to hate that, a very certain crowd.
You put yourself out there, you're going to get haters. Haters are going to hate, and you can ignore them because it's fine. They're going to exist no matter what you do. No matter how much you try, there's always going to be somebody who's pissed about something. So, but I mean, I'm here to tell you it's a good damn book, and I'm excited for the next one. Let's see. Nick says, I think they're talking about the magical impact stuff. I'm familiar with that feeling, and it's jarring for sure. Once you learn how to use it on command and staying grounded when necessary, it's a superpower, like trance on command. I experienced magical impact. I signed up to be a tarot reader for a wedding, and I did not realize the scope of that at the time. This was 15 years ago or so. I don't know, but it was turns out it was a big tent outside wedding, and I had charged by the hour. So I was like, oh, I'll just sit there and do as many free little 3-card, 5-card readings as I can.
Brave.
I didn't realize what I was getting into. I was there for 3 or 4 hours, and there was a line that went around the entire tent the whole night. So I didn't move from that seat. And I did hundreds of readings on top of each other. And I was sick I had like the flu for like 3 or 4 days after that.
That's Salem in October. Like people don't really understand unless you go. Excuse me. Let me get some water. I had one, I think it was my first or my second year reading in Salem. And a client like finally got in. I guess they'd been waiting a long time. And they're like, geez, this is like a psychic sweatshop. And I almost lost my shit. Because I was like, holy fuck, it is. Like, because that's what it feels like. And just like something like a wedding, like some of the clientele, I mean, I would assume, like aren't necessarily taking it seriously, aren't necessarily
and
like
some are taking it way too seriously for I was a tarot reader at a wedding.
Right. So this in October 6th to 9th, I'm presenting at Newt's, the Northwest Tarot Symposium, and my keynote is on all the shit no one tells you about being a professional reader. So how to deal with people, how to deal with, people that are have undiagnosed or untreated mental illness that sit in front of you, people that like get angry at your reading, people who threaten you, people who tell you they're doing illegal things, um, because that's another whole aspect of tarot reading people don't understand when it comes to the public.
Yeah.
And yeah, that leads to just as much emotional like burnout and drainage, including people who do take you seriously, like you're saying, like people that like become addicted to the readings, and they need to come in and have like 20 readings about the same fucking thing that you tell them, like the cards say the same thing every time. So I'm super excited about that workshop. Sorry to go on a tangent, but
No, I think that's a wonderful tangent. And I think that's something that's really needed, because I think people don't realize when they get started in it, what it is that I think that we need more classes like that. And I think that's great that you're covering that.
right? Or like what happens when, someone, it comes out in a reading that, and the person tells you that like they're in an abusive situation, or something like that. Like, what do you do? How do you handle it? So I'm really excited to like talk to everyone about that and be like, this is, what I've done, because I have done that Salem sweatshop for so many years.
So do you, so will there be access to this talk at any point in the future other than being at the symposium? Like, are you going to?
I believe Michelle, it's Michelle from the Soultopia stores that runs it.
Okay.
I believe that it's available for streaming.
Oh, great.
I just don't know how long or many details about that, but I'm pretty sure you can attend online and see it live, and that includes like the ability to rewatch it.
Okay, cool. And you said it's Newt's?
Yeah, it's the Northwest Tarot Symposium.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it's specifically tarot. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. And that you said that's October, right?
Yeah, it's 6th through 9th. So my book will actually come out while I'm there. So
oh, wow.
Cool.
Are you going to do like a release thing there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go with the flow.
Fair enough.
I'm just happy to be there, and with a lot of other great presenters and attendees.
Excellent. I'm going to see, let's see what else here. Can we pre-order Mastering Magic? You can. I need to set up a listing for it, but you absolutely can. I'm actually making my order tomorrow. So, because I feel like I've already put it on the pre-order, but it's funny. Llewellyn doesn't show me when I have pre-orders, so I tend to order them numerous times, and then I'll get like 60 copies, which is not a bad thing sometimes, because we go through them that quick. Okay, let's see. Caitlin says it was a necessary book for sure. Great for beginners and more advanced folks. I can't wait for the new book. Same. And that's definitely what you get from reading your book. I finished twice since I got it. Try to do an exercise every week. That's a good pace. I think that's a good pace. One of the things you talk about in the book is dangers of rushing in too fast. So besides the magical impact, what are the other dangers that can happen if you just go too hard?
You can freak yourself out. I think a lot of people get into witchcraft and they may even dabble for a while without seeing results, but then all of a sudden when the shit works, it can freak them out. Like if they haven't paced themselves to like build up and be prepared for those things.
It's a fantastic answer. You are absolutely right, because I have done that too.
Yeah. I mean, well, how many like evangelical type people or born again people were like, oh yeah, I was into witchcraft and then it got all, super bad, and that's usually why. That's also related. I have no idea. This is just my own speculation. I believe that's what happened with the New Ager Doreen Virtue, because she was doing her like angel courses for so long, and then she, just before she like renounced everything and like converted, she had announced she was doing the same thing with fairies. And really? So I think she approached it in the same manner, and I don't think she knew really what she was getting into. I think she was kind of expecting more like, Victorian Tinkerbell love and light type things. And I think something scared her to go as extreme as she did. That's my own theory, I
That's
don't want to
super
get in trouble,
interesting.
but that's me connecting the dots of like,
Yeah, I interviewed a woman on the show. God, I think it was last year. It might have been around this time last year, maybe September. Anyway, she owns a haunted house in Ohio. It's like Ohio's most haunted house. You know, this is the Bel Air house, right? But she before a couple of months within the year that she was on my show, she converted to Christianity
uh,
after being a witch for years and doing like seances in the house and everything like that. And I think same thing. I think she got freaked out and she like so now she's and it's funny because she was sort of talking about it in this almost embarrassed way, but like because I don't think she knew that I knew she had converted, and I brought it up and she was like, oh god, well, it's like okay.
yeah.
So, but that's such a good point because I feel like there is that point where you do sort of break through to something
Mhm.
and what happens is enough to freak you out. And it has definitely happened to me, and it has definitely made me put down my books for a while.
Yeah, and well, and the same as with psychic stuff. And one of the things that I did in Psychic Witch that I didn't feel or see a lot of other books do is like how to turn the shit off, like how to
Sure.
turn it off and how to tone it down when it's too much. Because there are times when it's too much. Because a lot of books on psychic awakening and psychic development, like they're like, let's turn this shit on, and there's nothing to like, let's turn it off. You don't want it on all the time at full maximum volume, or you're going to not have a very happy, restful time.
No, it's going to be constant messages and irritating things you can't do anything about.
Right.
Uh, and so one of the things that we didn't have until now, because this question comes up often, is I don't really necessarily want to be psychic. How do I stop this? Because they haven't been practicing or anything, but things are starting to happen to them, and they want to know how to control it. And I feel like giving them your book is a good step into how to control it. And it's almost like diving in and doing the practices helps you to have more control over the whole thing, including turning it down.
Right. And also like to see for that type of individual, like what are the benefits? Like why would you want to not just get rid of it forever, but like, like tap into those abilities. But the idea of controlling it is super, super important. I've had the experiences where I can't go to bed because shit won't shut up, like and stuff like that, so like learning how to shut that down and how to like or turn it down a little bit, especially when you're doing psychic readings with a person
Mm-hmm.
in front of you, and like the psychic information is so overwhelming that you're like trying to have a conversation as well as listen to them, and it's just sometimes you need to turn it down a little bit, because it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like listening to two people talk to you at once, and you can't
Right.
focus on either one.
Right.
Let's see. So I just wanted to, yeah, spiritual hangover. That's exactly correct. Yeah. Let's see what I move things. All right. Yeah. Oh, goddess, don't mess with the Fae. And I think if I've never done any work with the Fae, but I have heard a lot of warnings about it. And it's funny because when you said that, it kind of reminded me of like the Arthur Conan Doyle like photographs that he bought that were they're real fairies,
Have
which
you seen the
they're like
drunk history on that?
I've
It's
never
so
seen that,
good.
but I want to.
It's so good. Look it up. They
Oh,
do
that's
that,
great.
the whole fairy thing.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up because drunk history is one of my favorite things in the world. That and rap battles in history, fantastic. But yes, I'll look that up. So for those of you who don't know, the famous fairy photographs that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle bought turned out to be paintings on glass, I believe, right? And then they like set them
Right.
up and took
It's
pictures of that.
that time period with that boom of spirituality, they were so desperate to try to like legitimize it to the average person. It's just like pictures of Blavatsky with her like ascended masters, which are like so obviously like cardboard cutouts, It's,
Yeah, yeah.
which I don't hate Blavatsky. I don't hate Theosophy. And I know like a lot of witches have like, and I'm very big on like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, that like, yes. And I had talked about this in Mastering Magic. Like, yes, a lot of these older books have really problematic things and things that like we need to be honest and address and be like, hey, that's wrong, that's incorrect, that's bigoted, but there's something here in this other part that's really, really important. And I think Blavatsky was gifted in certain areas,
Mhm.
and then in other areas, just, it's like Crowley. Like Crowley was a genius, but also like, holy
Yeah.
fuck, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's like they added a lot, but they also gave us a lot of embarrassment too. You're
Right.
like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
the hating of women and stuff like that. It's just
Right.
lots of
Right.
grossness. I honestly haven't heard any bad stuff about Blavatsky. But maybe my research has been pretty surface, because I didn't really hear much about the gross stuff. I know
Well,
that she was busted for being a fake medium.
there's there's some problematic things she says about where the races come from.
Oh.
That's like, and I know some people that take that as like, oh, she's not talking literal, and maybe she's not, but the language that she's using, because evolution was very popular then, like Darwin was like a really big like new idea. So like they're using a lot of like evolutionary type pseudoscience talk, which makes it sound literal. So it's kind of hard to tell, like, is she speaking like she literally believes this and is teaching this, or is she saying that like it's not race like ethnicity, it's like a spiritual type of person, like group of person. It's up to the reader to discern that on their own. But everyone from that time period is gonna have problematic views, just in general, because we were a very
It was a shitty time for civil rights. It was a shitty
yeah,
time for
just in general,
open-mindedness.
like all around, like unless you're a white man, like
Rich.
yeah,
That helps too.
yeah, and straight.
Right. Rich, straight, white man. Yeah, that's the lowdown. Yeah. Rachel says, I wonder if that's what happened to Kat Von D. I think talking about getting scared. Although I also wonder if she became a Republican and that's why she renounced witchcraft. I don't know. I was wondering that too. Why she's suddenly like, like, why even bother to publicize it? Like, what? Okay, like, but it was weird. It was almost like a statement.
Yeah, I was reading some stuff about some very problematic views she's had for a long time. And I think that's one of the scary things about like paganism and occultism in general, is that there is a certain group of thought that's very racist and very extreme right wing. And it tends to be a pipeline to evangelical Christianity, just like conspiracy theories. Like they start off in the New Age and they're a pipeline to evangelical Christianity.
It's weird. Flat earthers, you follow that, they're all Christian. How? Yeah. That shit makes no sense at all. Sonia says, it was a good time for rich white dudes, just like today, but with worse plumbing. Shit. Yeah. Okay, so to get back to what I wanted to talk about in the Triple Souls of the Witch. So your explanation of the higher self and lower self, this whole thing where your lower self and your higher self are two sort of searching things that find each other and create the middle self.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That is the wisdom teaching that was passed on to me. Yes.
I love it. It makes me, so I was not brought up religious. I have my own ideas about where we come from and stuff. And it's sort of an amalgamation of things that I've been taught. I've read, even some of it's from fiction, but it make the most sense to me. So it's sort of something that I believe. Like, where do we come from? Where do we go after we die? You should hear me explaining this shit to my kids because I'm all like, I don't know, but here's kind of what I got.
Well, even I say that, you know, and I try to put an emphasis of like, I'm not saying this is the way it is. Like, this is a map that I have been taught that, you know, I've also kind of embellished on my own experience, through my own experience. And, you know, just don't take it as gospel truth, because there's certain things nobody fucking knows. Like,
Right. Real quick, Mr. Tarot Stash is leaving. Bye. Thanks for being with us. You can watch the rest of this tomorrow. It'll be up. But yeah, but then, you know, thinking about how the two of those things coming together and making the middle self makes me feel like I should be doing the best I can with this middle self that was created to, I don't know, see how this will work. And then, you know, when you describe what happens after death with these things, I know that this is just one person's, you know, the teachings that you've been taught and you're passing it along, and it's beautiful. It's just, I've never heard it before, and I really love it. And I just think it's a neat thing to think about. When you guys get to chapter 6, he talks about what happens after death with the higher, lower self. Fantastic. But what happens if all three souls, all three selves happen to figure it out? Right? Like this alignment, this agreement, as you called it, and then they step off the birth and death treadmill. So this is the first time that it's been laid out for me that the goal of occult and mystical work is to achieve the state of apotheosis.
Yes.
Right? Did I say that right?
Yes. Becoming a god is what it literally is.
Which is becoming a god. And so I've never put this together. So in all of the stuff that I've done and I've taught other people, I've always talked about it. I've used word like ascending. We're moving upward. We're getting better. We're doing more. We find the balance, and then we find the best version of ourselves. I've just never looked at it as the scope of God. Right?
Yeah, well,
fantastic. You know, I love it.
God means a lot of things, though. You know,
it does. It means becoming one with the you know, the thing, and it can be taken in so many ways. I've just never looked at it from that scope before, and I love the word, and I think it's a beautiful thing to think about.
Yeah, and in traditional Wicca and certain traditional witchcraft teachings, they would refer to it as the mighty dead. And you become one of the mighty dead. You're not just a dead, you're a mighty dead. Christopher Penczak has a brilliant book on the mighty dead, and he also compares it as a universal idea. He looks at like the idea of saints in Catholicism, the idea of bodhisattvas in Buddhism, like Theosophy's ascended masters. You know, like this isn't an idea that like is unique to witchcraft.
I just love the way it's laid out. I love hearing new versions of why we're here, how this works, what happens after, and what's the goal. I love it. And this kind of fits right in with what I was already sort of leaning towards. And so it made me feel kind of, it made me feel special. It made me feel like this and this came together to make this middle self. And so I feel like, all right, let's do this, guys. Let's do the best we can with this, right? Like all three of us. And so balance, for me, something that I've always said is balance is the goal of magic. It's the goal. It's the path. It's sort of a constant working towards that balance while balancing. Like you're literally just trying to hold it for as long as you can and find that medium thing. So, and one of my favorite quotes from the book, which I was going to read because I even put the page number on here, but luckily I copied it because. So it's on page 92, guys. In witchcraft, we tend to not paint things with a broad brush when it comes to morality, nor are we quick to lump things into a concept of good or bad. Clearly read this. And I'm like, oh, sorry, bad health, your division. I don't know what happened there. Sorry. Of good or bad. but from my perspective is to discern whether something is in balance or out of balance. So you're not there to say whether something's good or bad. You're there to say whether or not it's balanced. And I've always said, people are like, what's the point? What are you trying to do? Balance. That's what we're trying to do, right? The whole like solve equigule, the whole like as within, as the hermetic axiom,
Yes.
as above, so below. And so I feel like this is something that, a healthy balance of your self-importance and the importance of those around you. I feel like, and I read this in a book in the early 2000s. It was either The Circle Within, or it was a Phyllis Carrot book, or Robin Wood. It was one of those, because I was reading all three of them at the same time, but they stressed the importance of balance between your importance and other people's importance.
Yes.
You are equally important.
I have a passage about that somewhere else too, about like the idea of priesthood. Like in witchcraft, a priest, among many things, is someone who serves both the right hand and the left hand path. And the way that I define that is not left hand path like, ooh, we're going to do spooky satanic stuff. And like right hand path isn't like, oh, we're going to do like fluffy bunnies. But it's about service to self and service to others and balancing the two. And mastering magic is the next step of all these things you're talking about. Like mastering magic is the sequel. So it's all about like finding like that, like these polar things that we're balancing aren't actually polar things. They're one thing, and that's the paradox, is that these opposites are one thing. But you can't really come to understand that until you start balancing, aspects of yourself in life and magic. And then you start seeing, like, oh, this is the same thing in variations.
And it's one thing to see them, and it's a whole other thing to start employing them, to start using them and start actually doing that work of making yourself, of the leveling out,
right,
between yourself and the outside world. One of the things you talk about, the middle self being out of balance, and the problems with reconciling paradoxes instead of allowing them to be. This is so personal. Shut up, Matt.
We want to logically understand it and put it in little boxes, and the universe isn't like that.
That's been one of my stumbling blocks with magic forever too. I found it when I was 15. I'm now 50. I'm finally like, I can understand that there can be paradoxes and that they're okay. I have a little more control over my brain now, where I can tell it to shut up, and that those little things don't matter. Those little nitpicky, like, leave it alone. It's fine. Everything is okay. Like, you don't need to pull apart every little thing. Just, it's okay to just accept it, because I don't have to understand how the universe works. I don't. I have to understand how my world works and how to work within it. It's just hard to not be a control freak. Yeah. So I want to talk now about your Instagram impersonators.
Oh my God. Okay.
And your work with them. Because, so WitchLab has been dealing with a motherfucking shit ton of them lately. So many, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And I feel terrible for the people who are being contacted by them and, leading them on, and it's horrible. So tell me, I know you did something amazing, because I saw it about a month ago and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk to him about this.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been dealing with them for a long time. And first it started as like, oh, that's weird. There's an account that's pretending to be me. And then like it'd be a couple months later, another one would pop up. And now it's like, a year later, and it's like just so fucking many, just over and over and over and over. And Instagram won't really do anything about it. Like at first they kind of did. And now it's just sort of like, I might get a response a couple months later from like a bot being like, we didn't review it, but we think it's fine, so we're leaving it up. And it's been really overwhelming, and I don't know what to do. I ended up shutting down my DMs and just
No.
not looking at them because it's not even the scammers. It's just being flooded with so many people being like, "Hey, did you know someone's impersonating your account?" Like just so many times that it's like I can't read messages from people because I have like hundreds of like, something that I've addressed 100 billion times everywhere I can, and there just comes a point where like I don't know, like I think Instagram's a sinking ship for our community.
They're
They're
not protecting their people, that's for sure.
they're messing with our algorithm too.
Mhm.
They are shadow banning certain hashtags and certain phrases,
Yep.
that relate to things that we do in our community. And that paired with the constant imposters, it's just like, eh, it's frustrating because it's like it used to be such an amazing platform before Meta bought it. And, you know, I don't know. What specifically did you want to talk
So
about?
there was a thing where you followed one down, like you went
Oh,
after one,
yeah.
and so my whole staff was super excited because they're like, "Look at what Matt did! That's because we were hoping it would be the beginning of the end, but
Yeah, so this wasn't an account impersonating me. It was an account impersonating Llewellyn that contacted me to scam me. You
no
know,
shit."
yeah. So like I just played naive, and
And you just let them.
I just let him do the thing. I just like took on like a crazier and crazier character where I just it's just like absurd that they kept responding to me like I was serious. Um it got into this whole thing about like, I wanted mediumship for my goldfish and
Shut
like
up.
yeah, it was just bonkers, and I was talking about how like goldfish are the superior species and like, how sometimes they're compared to koi and how offensive that is, and like I was parodying a lot of the language that they used back to them, and I don't think
Uh-huh.
they realized that, like grand rising or like the initial message had random astrological glyphs like every 2 words. And so like I would write them messages where I put like random astrological glyphs, or like whatever they were using, like meditation, sparkle, moon. And they didn't get it. And it just got to a point where I'm like, okay, well, I'm kind of bored with this.
Right
So,
on.
but it
It's
was
just
it was amusing.
it's almost like so it's happened so much to us now that we have to post about it often, as in we know we're sorry, we know, but if it doesn't say just Witch Lab, it's not us. Like, just if there's a dot or a slash or whatever, it's but at this point I feel like it's so common that if people don't know to look I feel like people shouldn't look for it at this point. Like, even if you just go to our page, you can see that we've posted numerous times like, "I'm sorry, there are scammer accounts." I have gone on and
They'll sometimes
fought some
repost
of
that
them.
though.
Huh?
They'll sometimes repost that, like those posts being like, "Watch out for
Motherfuckers.
scammers."
Of course they
Yeah.
would. Why wouldn't they?
And what I found,
Yeah.
which I'm like, "Oh, this is so clever," is because I put an emphasis of like, look for Mat Auryn, no misspellings, no hyphens, no periods, the things you're talking about. So what they're doing is because they have the username that they can't change, but they have the name that would be Mat Auryn. So they would change that to look like my username and then message people, and it looks like my username is messaging them. And
Yeah,
it's
we had that too. Because WitchLab is trademarked. So I could actually go on and like I had to do all this fucking work. I had to screenshot things, I had to send things, I had to send them my trademark. Like, and if I have to do this for every one of them,
right.
I'll have a new full-time job. And
Yeah,
it's irritating.
it's yes.
It's
It's
frustrating. So uh, the other thing I want to talk to you about, plagiarists.
yes.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
That one woman, I can't remember her name. But yeah,
Glinda Porter.
what is it?
Glinda Porter. That's
Glinda
not her real
Porter.
name. I know her real name.
Obviously,
Yeah.
she's
Uh,
going for a good witch thing there.
yeah.
But yeah, the amount of books that she, whoever that person is,
Mhm.
um, it could even just be a company that's just doing that.
It's a woman. It's a woman in Florida.
So you know who she is.
Yes, I have all her information. Yes. And what
Damn.
sucks is that, like, this is just the name she uses for witchcraft. She has other things for other industries and niches.
Why would this not be a full-time job? Right, of course, of
And
course.
one of the
Scammers work just as hard as everybody else.
one of the things I found which really grossed me out was before I had her Amazon account totally banned, or her Audible account totally banned by talking to Audible. I was looking at the reviews because the reviews are all 5 stars, glowing, and I'm like, okay, well, like, this is kind of weird for, like, I read the book, and like whatever bot they were using that was like slightly changing words doesn't make it make a lot of sense in a lot of areas. Like, it's just, like a normal person reading it would be like, this sentence doesn't make sense. So I decided to look at them, and they were all reviewing all the same self-published books. And 4 of the 5 names I know are her names, because she has them linked in various accounts under her real name. But there was one that really grossed me out. It was a author name that uses ebony in the name, and she, under that name, this white woman writes affirmations for African American women, pretending to be an African American woman. Like, and what's the really shitty thing is knowing that she is a plagiarist. It's probably stolen work from an actual African American woman.
Right.
Of course, I don't have proof. I have never found a concrete connection, but it's clear from the reviewers that are only reviewing these same books over and over, and the rest I know are her pen names. It's just like, what Rachel Dolezal shit is this? It's, yeah.
God damn it! There is an immense amount of scammers out there that I was explained this when I had to actually apply to my bank I was frauded out of some money by somebody who scammed me for things. Okay. And they were like, well, scammers have a full-time job too. That's what they do. They literally, because she was trying to make me feel better. She's like, this is literally what they do. They figure out how to steal from you. That is their whole job. And it's fucking, if you're going to put that much fucking work into something.
Yes. That's what I was saying. Like my conversation with my scammer, like I could have gotten like 5 tarot readings, like real tarot readings from the person, in the time and effort that they were taking to try to scam me, pretending to be a tarot reader.
So they just want you to send money, but then I'm sure they don't follow up.
To my understanding, that's what happens is once you send them the money, they begin ignoring you and or block you. And the really shitty thing is that they are constantly changing their screen names and who they're scamming. And it's the same account, which pisses me off because it shows Instagram isn't really doing anything about it, because they could so easily ban that IP address, ban that account, and then get rid of a problem. But as a company owned by Meta, that is all about like how many users do we have,
right?
For their shareholders, it's all of us are thrown under the bus. And the shitty thing is like the verification thing, the little check mark, because Instagram's whole thing is like, oh, we have this, to avoid imposters of people.
Are you verified?
Nope, they won't verify me.
What?
Yeah, so like it's really not about imposters. It's about who they view as important. And I think any social media, to be safe, should have the option to verify your account regardless of who you are. Even if you're like Susie Homemaker, you should have an option to verify your account and like prove to them. I know MySpace used to do that. MySpace, you just send them your photo ID, prove who you are, and they would like verify your account. So it's weird that like it's like a weird elite thing, and it has nothing to do with like the safety of people being scammed or being impersonated.
When I looked into getting mine verified, the only option that was even close enough was a global brand. So like unless you're a global brand, they won't protect you either. So So which is it's very frustrating. I Rachel says that she, when scammers reach out, ask them for money first. That's smart. Give me money. And Tech Magi Hecate, which is I assume how you say that, we need a new platform than fucking Meta, and I agree. But it's almost like it's a huge starting over. I mean, how many times have people like started these new like kickoffs of like, oh,
Right.
everybody's on blah 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 now or blah blah
For
blah.
like a month.
Not even.
Yeah.
It's like I've like I've twice I think I've tried other things and like within 2 days I'm like, but it's like crickets. There's
Right.
nobody's jumping ship.
Yeah. Like the only one was TikTok, you know, when TikTok came, and that ruined Instagram too, because Meta was like, we want to compete with TikTok. So
They
now
got Reels.
Reels are the only thing that we will show people in their feeds.
Yep. Yep.
Which defeats the whole purpose of Instagram, which is a photo-based.
Right.
You know?
I know. So as a public figure, as you are, and you're, you know, you have to do promo things and you have to be out there. How often do you fantasize about getting off of social media altogether?
Yes.
Twice a day, 5 times a day?
Yeah, a lot. You know, and I'm taking a little bit of a break compared to like how much I normally use it, but I hate it, you know. And it's funny because people like associate me with social media and being good at it and being active on it.
You are
But I hate it. Like if I didn't have to do it, like I wouldn't. Like I would love to be like Silver Ravenwolf level, where like she's got her career set, you know, she can sit and write books, do whatever she wants. If she wants to post something, she can post something, you know. It's not necessarily this weird rat race of trying to jump through every hoop so like someone will just see what you're doing, you know.
I've wanted to be off it for years, but for the longest time, I was the person in charge of all of WitchLab social media, so I absolutely couldn't. I'm not actually the front person on our social media anymore, so I.
Good for you.
Thank you. It was a huge. Abigail Collins is the best person in the whole world, and she takes care of my Facebook and my Instagram and handles and deals with me all the time, and I love her so fucking much. Without her, you know, so much wouldn't happen. So it's really nice. But I've really been thinking lately about even just taking my own personal stuff off and just being like, I don't even care anymore. Like looking at like Facebook feed makes me want to die. I'm just like, everything sucks.
Yeah. I think the last couple of years in particular, like if I could, I would probably just leave the internet in general, you know, because it's a mess, because the world's a mess, you know.
It is.
And
there is no. Yeah, Gail is the shit. Gail, she is the shit. She is wonderful. I love her so fucking much. Gail, I love you. Never leave me.
But then there's also like there's the benefits of it. So like, you know, opposed to like the people who came before me of other generations, you know,
Right.
I have this platform where I can interact with my readers on an intimate level that they couldn't, and that's both a blessing and a curse. That
With
like
the bad, with the
things
good comes the bad. Like
Yeah.
you just
because also being accessible is not always a good thing with every individual that wants to contact you.
no.
So especially when you're doing a career path like I am, that attracts very unbalanced individuals on both sides of the like totally for what you're doing and totally against what you're doing.
Yeah, and there's nut jobs everywhere. There's you just if you increase the number of people that are looking at you, the percentage of nut jobs is going to increase. There's just the way that it is, and maybe nut jobs isn't a nice word, but
well, a lot of my scammer interaction was influenced by messages that I had received over the years. So it wasn't hard to like pull on that character and like without like really outlandish.
I'm gonna be crazy customer right now.
But I would say that like, you know, when it comes to, I don't want to use the word crazies, the imbalanced individuals versus the average person, it's still worth doing because they're still outnumbered compared to like
100%.
yeah. But
100%.
you do get some very interesting messages. I thought about someday, like in the future, like compiling a book, maybe self-published, of just like here's all the crazy shit people have sent me, like over the years.
I love it. Yeah, like stories from the front kind of a thing. Right? Like this is the shit that happens when you are a high profile author and people come to you for things. This is the shit that happens. And I think that would sell. And I think that yeah, keep journals, keep records, because because even hearing about it like real time right now, but I would love to hear about what the fuck was happening, 30 years ago. Like, what were those guys having to deal with? What was the crazy shit then? Like before Facebook, what were the letters they received? Right? Because
Right,
people reach out. Facebook only made it easier, but people always found a way.
right.
Showing up on their door. Hey, it's Mel. My girlfriend left me. I need you to help me right now.
Yeah.
So Peggy says that IG marketing backed off of pushing reels to the top. So, okay, there's a
I hope so.
my 15-year-old daughter. She was telling me that she was addicted to TikTok and she got rid of it off her phone because she was really worried about the effect it was having on her. She's bringing this up to me now because my youngest, who's now 14, is evidently on TikTok, and she's like, "Mom, do something, Mom." I'm like, "Okay, okay." Look, so like, she's like, and I'm like, "Explain to me what the problem is. I understand the problem, but explain to me in your words what made you quit, and what you would like me to say to them, so that I can at least try to make this make sense to them." And one of the things she brought up, she's like, "Even Instagram stopped doing reels because it's bad for you." I'm like, interesting. Okay. Because there's something about like the 15-second loop that
Yes.
does something to your brain that
And that's one of the things people don't want to hear. Like one of the things that's really popular on TikTok is ADHD and talking about ADHD. And if I'm on TikTok a lot, I start feeling like I have ADHD in my life. And there's parallels to that. Like I've read research articles based on scientific research where they found that the human attention span since TikTok started has decreased. It's now lower than a goldfish, which used to be our kind of like, haha, they have short attention spans. The average human's attention span because of social media like that is like, interestingly enough, it's about like 15 to 30 seconds, I think is what they were saying, which is the exact amount of time as a reel. So while I'm not completely against reels or TikTok, I think the overuse of it is definitely not good for our minds or our attention span. Because even I can tell the difference, when I'm like really on that. Like, and usually I avoid the witchcraft stuff on there. The whole witchcraft community.
the witch talk.
It's a lot of drama and a lot of
I don't even join local Ohio witch groups on Facebook because of that kind of shit. I'm not interested in any of that stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some great content on there that I'm not aware of, but I mostly use it for funny stuff,
I'm sure there's good points. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure there is. Yeah, it's it does allow us to be in connection with our audience, to be in connection with those that the people that we need to know about us so that we can grow our careers. It just sucks that oh my God. So speaking of what happened back in the day, Tony says Ray, talking about Ray Buckland, says they caught his car on fire. So nut jobs back then too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Bitch.
I mean, and they lived through the first satanic panic in the US. So that's one of the things that like I have so much love and respect for Silver Ravenwolf and Scott Cunningham, not only because that's who I grew up with, but like and Ray Buckland. I actually didn't like Ray Buckland at first because I started with the Blue Book, and I feel like I was spoiled because I got like Ravenwolf and Cunningham that kind of make it less dry. I love Cunningham's other books. His other books is where I am like, oh, this is good shit. Um,
Have you read his fiction books? The one about Atlantis?
no, I got some Scott Cunningham fiction books though.
What? I didn't
Um,
know he did fiction.
Very few under his own name. He used pen names. So his father was a writer too. And his father, what is the name? He used to write like kind of smutty cowboy
Like Louis
novels.
L'Amour type stuff? Or no, I don't know if he was
Yeah, but
smutty. He was more just
like
cowboy.
sexy. Yeah. I think Louis. My grandpa read a bunch of Louis L'Amour. It was like Dirk something. I can find it out. But eventually, like Scott started helping out with writing books under that name too, and then eventually just took over, which is equally funny because it's like cowboy um, romance novels, and Scott Cunningham was gay, so like. Since a lot of them are very like about like women and it's just it amuses me.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, his sister Christine sent me a bunch of really cool old books that were of Scott's work because I guess their other brother was moving and had to get rid of books, and she's like, "Oh, I know someone to send this to," so I'm like, "Ah, thank you."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Little windfall of history.
Yeah, and he also wrote like a couple horror novels. I think one of the horror novels is under his name, Scott Cunningham, that I have. But yeah, Scott was just, he was a writer in general. But back to my point is that people like Scott Cunningham and Silver Ravenwolf and Ray Buckland and like even Selena Fox as a public figure, like today we look back at them, they're like, oh, they were so fluffy, and they had this narrative. We don't understand like the time period, like people were losing their shit over anything related to witchcraft. Like
Right.
people were losing their jobs, their home, their children, so there had to be a strong like, no, we're not worshiping the devil. No, we don't do bad magic. No, we, you know, that paired with the the accessibility, particularly Scott Cunningham, to be like Wicca, specifically Wicca, can be a spiritual path that the individual can practice, was like groundbreaking and horribly controversial within the witchcraft community at the time, which today we think like, what witchcraft? Like most witches aren't part of covens and traditions. And a lot of that has to deal with Scott being like, you can take this as a spiritual, personal path. Like it doesn't have to be a group thing. Um, so I'm sorry, I went on a whole
No,
tirade about that, but
no, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful tirade. Please take all the tirades you want. This is our show. This is you and me time. You can talk to me about anything you want. I love it.
I used to because I started with Silver Ravenwolf when I was little, and I talk about that in my book. I talk about like how I discovered magic and like at a traumatic time of my life as a child. And I used to write Silver Ravenwolf little letters, because each Llewellyn book has to write to the author, da da da. And it's crazy because she wrote the foreword to this book. So, it's like full circle. And then with Psychic Witch, I had this little boy, Kai, who would write me letters, fan letters, and he would draw pictures. He was 7 years old, which is a year younger than I was. I was about 8 when I started writing Silver Ravenwolf. But
Damn.
it was like, holy shit, I've come full circle. Like, it's not even the publishing of witchcraft books for me. It's the fact that like I'm receiving letters like I wrote Silver Ravenwolf as a kid. So he's also in the acknowledgments of this new book. But it's just funny how things.
Kai is.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
So it's just funny how like a lot of things went full circle. Like I talk about in Psychic Witch, like I dedicate it to 4 different people that were integral to my path in magic in general, which is Silver Ravenwolf, Lori Cabot, Christopher Penzac, and Devin Hunter, who's now my husband. But
Congratulations.
with Silver, like I talk about when I was that young kid, I had my notebook of shadows, and I would essentially just plagiarize what was in her books and Scott Cunningham's, and I used to pretend like, oh, someday I'll have my own book with that like Llewellyn logo on it. And so it's really interesting to see where I am now. And it seems almost like I was doing a hyper sigil as a little kid without
Right.
realizing it.
Right.
So,
That
yeah.
makes a lot of sense because when you mentioned in there, like I always wanted to have my own book with the little moon on it, that makes so much sense to me because that's and then to trace this out and think about it and think about it and think about
Right.
it.
Yep.
It's like people writing in their books that women, girls at the time, little girls would write in their books like the married name of who they wanted to be, sort of a magic thing.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Or like in the so I'm not like super into graphic novels, but there's certain ones that I do like that are like super esoteric that like people get me into. But one of the big names is Grant Morrison, and he had a graphic novel series called The Invisibles, and he put himself as a character in The Invisibles. And he has this talk. I think it's a TED talk, and it's brilliant. And he talks about how he started to notice what he would do to the character in his comic books would shortly happen to him in life. And so like he has this whole thing about like he coined the term hyper sigil is what he calls it, where you're essentially writing a fictional piece of art and it comes to life. But like I always think that's fascinating. I have a lot of musician friends, and a lot of the stuff they were writing before the pandemic was related to like plagues and stuff like that. Even like the band Ghost,
Right.
before the pandemic, they had a whole album about plagues, about the Black Plague in Europe. So that kind of ties into the whole psychic witch thing. So like, is that a psychic input or was that a magical thing? And like,
Right.
when
Right.
it's a
Which one is
witch,
it? Right.
right? Or maybe it's the paradox of both.
God damn it.
That they're not separate things.
Right. I often wonder that myself because when things pop up like that, I'm like, did I make that happen or did I know it was coming?
Right.
Which one is it? But the hyper sigilizing, as in like putting it out there, putting the intention out there over and over, putting work into it. And I didn't even think about Ghost's album reflecting that. That's crazy. Yeah. I also get a lot of shame in my life for liking Ghost. So I don't know if you experience any of that, but I experience a lot of shame from people. Being a Ghost fan.
Well, Jason Mankey, you're going to see him soon. He loves Ghost.
Excellent. Then him and I can gang up on my boyfriend who hates Ghost and tortures me all the time because I like it. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fun. So I just wanted to read some things real quick. Tony says it's actually Scott Cunningham's father that talked Ray Buckland into writing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What?
Yeah.
Tony is filled with amazing history facts. I get the best out of our dinners together.
There's such exciting stuff related to all of that I can't talk about, but I want to.
Oh.
But something in the future will be announced related to all of that, of the Scott Cunningham and the...
Okay.
I'm bad at keeping a secret, but good at keeping a secret.
Little teasers.
An example.
Okay. Teasers are good. That's fine. Let's go back to this. Dirk is such a gay Louis L'Amour character name.
Yeah, and I don't know which came first. I never read either, but I know that my grandfather read all the Louis L'Amour. He was addicted to them, and I didn't even know that they were like trashy romance.
I have no idea. I still don't know that that's true. So if that information came from me, I don't know that that's true. That's nothing. I think I've read one, and I don't think it was romantic at all. It was more about just like living on the range,
right?
And, like, the hardships of riding a horse all day, but the manliness of it. I don't know.
Very John Wayne.
Very John Wayne. And we're definitely not cowboy shaming. Please buy them all. Buy all of the Dirk, whatever Scott wrote under, whatever that pen name is. I'm sure somebody can find it.
I think it's like Neighbor. Let me look it up real quick.
Sonia says, I totally I'm totally not. I love. Oh yeah, not shaming. Right. I figured you weren't. I love westerns. Am gay, and also have read a number of my Papa's Louis L'Amour novels. So wait, Sonia, are they? They're not romantic, are they? They're just like making your own coffee in the morning over the fire type stuff, right? I think. I don't know.
Well, the dark ones are definitely
No, those ones.
definitely
Those ones I
smart.
want to read.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I want to
Yeah.
read the. I want to read the romantic ones.
Yeah, well, there's one where the cover, I could grab them real quick, but there's one where the cover where it looks like they're about to have a threesome.
Oh, please go get it.
Yeah,
Just go get it. Yeah.
and I'll get the name. I'll be right back.
Sonia and I are going to talk about Sandman while you're gone for a moment. Okay, so I don't want to do any spoilers whatsoever because I hate people who give spoilers. I just want everybody to know that it's amazing. I I had to go through my crawl space to go find my old box of Sandmans because I have all of them. I also have collectible death cards and figures and all kinds of. I have this like weird cardboard cutout promo of death when the I forget what the death book was called, but yeah, I'm sick Sandman fan, and I'm so I love the season so much. I want there to be a second one. I don't care if Netflix picks it up. Anybody can pick it up. I just want there to be another one.
So good.
There's so many more stories. There's so much more
Yeah.
good we need to see. Okay, show me some books.
Okay. Well, this one I posted on Facebook. So this is one of the books they sent me. It's like an old ass Llewellyn's Almanac, where the only contributor is Scott Cunningham and Ray Buckland.
Damn!
I did not know. And apparently
What's the year
there was
on that?
a point where there was only Ray Buckland.
Really?
Yeah, and all the art is by Robin Wood, who did the Scott Cunningham artwork and did the Robin Wood Tarot. She just passed recently too. Like I think
Oh, I didn't realize that.
last year. Yeah. So I have this, which is under Scott Cunningham's name. It's the Cliffside Horror.
God.
And then
That's amazing.
here's one under his name too. It's like Revenge at, I'm trying to find the camera, Gilla Peaks. So, okay, so it's Dirk Fletcher is the pen name. And
Dirk Fletcher.
This series is called Spur. So these ones specifically, I'm told, were Scott because they shared a pen name. So there's this one.
Oh my God, look at that.
Ooh, where's the camera?
Oh my Lord. There's people making out while somebody's getting hung. Okay.
And then there's this one where we got some group action going on.
What?
And drama
San
in the
Diego
barn.
Sirens. What is the white print on the side there? What's like the little tag?
Oh, okay, so Spur runs into double trouble and a triple cross.
Yes. Oh, I love me some trashy pulp shit. I really do. I shouldn't use those words, but trashy pulp wonderfulness is what I should say. I love them. I'm a sucker for them.
Interesting how many authors write fiction in our genre, especially back in the day, because authors don't make a lot of money, and then our industry does not. We're such a niche that like when there was a lot of controversy going on with the big publishers about like advances and how much like people were getting versus women versus people of color for book advances, all of the numbers were, even the lowest numbers that were being complained about is so much higher than like Llewellyn or Weiser, because Llewellyn and Weiser, like when we're immersed in this world, they're the big names, but they're still independent. They're indie publishers, and people don't realize that they've just been around forever. Like Llewellyn's 100 years old. Weiser, I don't know how old, but yeah. So it's Silver Ravenwolf had a lot of fiction too. She had some like murder magic
That's the kind of shit I would have eaten up. Like, give that to me.
You can still find them too. They're just not actively published. She has one that's like Murder at Witch's Bluff, I think is one of them, and that's like an adult one. But then she did a whole series on teen witchcraft. So like the old Teen Witch had like the 4 kids. She wrote little like YA novels about those characters, which were super awesome, especially since she was teaching magic and witchcraft without teaching magic and witchcraft, um, which I think is brilliant, and it is totally on par with like level of like books like Goosebumps or like Animorphs. That was my generation of like scholastic, YA. Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I there was a series out when I was I was probably, I don't know, middle school, elementary school. I don't remember what the series was called, but every single one was like somebody who had psychic visions, somebody who could astral project, somebody who could
oh,
do
cool.
one of these things that I really wanted to do when I was like 10, like, oh my God, this would be amazing. There's got to be more to the world than I can see, is kind of how I
Right.
wanted to look at the world. It took me another 5 years to find it. And then it took me another forever to like, like really understand it. Takes a
Mhm.
long time. Like you just keep like chipping away once you get in there,
Well, and
Find-
and that's one of the things I write about, like in the, I think it's the introduction to Mastering Magic. Like I was really intimidated by the name. So like, unlike a lot of authors, I have total control over the name and the image of the book cover. So like a lot of times authors don't have a say in like what their cover looks like or the title. I got lucky with Psychic Witch, and I think with how well it did, Llewellyn's like, we trust anything you want to do. So Psychic Witch came through dreams and visions. Like, I was told what the book cover is going to look like, what it's going to be called, things of that nature. So when I was writing this book, that started happening to me. And Mastering Magic is such an intimidating title. First of all, I was like, I hope Paul Hewson doesn't hate me, because he has the classic Mastering Witchcraft.
Yeah.
But what I talk about in the introduction is that, like, when it comes to witchcraft, mastery isn't necessarily, learning it all and being at the top. It's not, there's no end goal. It's a continual process of learning and discovering and experiencing. The reason I call it Mastering Magic is because you're learning how to master the magic in your life and your practice, to make it work for you and actually work, and
Mhm.
to be unique for you as well. So it's not just like copying and pasting what other people are telling you, which is good when you're learning a traditional
Sure.
thing. But at the end of the day, the witch is solitary, period. Even if we work in traditions and covens, um, because it's the mysteries and it's the spiritual path. And like that is an individual thing. It's just like I sometimes compare it to Christianity, like going to church in Christianity isn't going to get you into heaven. What gets you into heaven in their eyes is your personal relationship with Jesus Christ outside of the church. And I think in magic it's a lot like that as well. While there is merit to working with groups and training in traditions, if you choose to, at the end of the day, our relationship with magic, with the mysteries, with the spirituality is solitary. So since it is, it needs to work for us.
I think that a lot of times it's not even it's not even a question of choice, because a lot of times there is no access to a
Right.
coven. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know that I could join a coven right now if I wanted to, because the amount of hoops you have to jump through to find one, and then somehow get an invitation, it's nearly impossible. So it's interesting, but I also think that there's a lot of people in this big old witchcraft world, which I don't even know I want to call a community, because it's pretty really widespread and lots of different levels of people who have different thoughts on things. There's a lot of people out there that'll tell you if you're not part of a Gardnerian tradition, then you're not actually a witch. Like, you're not actually getting the mysteries. You're not actually getting in on it.
Right.
So that's there's a lot of that keeps people from being like, well, I guess I just can't, and that's frustrating. Um,
Yeah.
because
Which is really amusing to me. Because I've um, Mars is in Gemini, and my Mercury is in Aries. So I'm like, ooh, saying a bunch of shit I probably shouldn't. But
so perfect timing.
I do know the people that are alive that are closest to the founding of BTW. Like, not like I know them on a personal level. I've interacted with them, like Maxine Sanders is still alive, for the Alexandrians. And then there are individuals that were close to Gardner, the closest you can get to Gardner. And I know that they hold individuals like Christopher Penczak in high regard in witchcraft. And Christopher Penczak isn't Gardnerian. He isn't Alexandrian.
We have a we have a Gardnerian here. So one, it's Mortalis, and one, she said they are working on a novel right now, and they are a Gardnerian high priestess. And here, happy to say that I believe that's actual horseshit.
Yes.
That you have to be part of a Gardnerian tradition in order to be a valid witch.
Right.
And
even like Gerald Gardner or Sybil Leek, who was not Gardnerian either, they reference the New Forest tradition, which was a group of witches, and there's debate on like what exactly that was and how historical that was, but they're referencing a group of witches outside of Gardnerian Wicca. So, I mean, if Gerald Gardner is acknowledging a line of witches,
right,
it's just,
I'm going to throw this up really quick. Rachel said, I didn't think I could be a witch, but you set me straight, Tiffany. I've never been happier because you are a witch, Rachel. From the first time I met you, I knew you were a witch, and you're amazing, and you're talented, and you're magical, and I fucking love you. But yeah, I think, so Sybil Leek, you mentioned Sybil Leek. I know, not being a Gardnerian. Sybil Leek's ceremonial robe is in WitchLab. It's on display. We have a picture of her and her jackdaw together.
Well, I'm going to have to come visit sometime because I really want to go to the Buckland Museum. And the Buckland Museum people have promised me that if I go, they'll take me to the Troll Hole. And you don't know about the Troll Hole? The Troll Hole is the world's largest troll museum, like treasure trolls. And I love trolls. This is something me and I don't know if you're
familiar like the troll dolls.
Yeah. So like me and Marla Starling, Welsh author of Welsh Witchcraft, we're ape shit about troll dolls, So I'm totally. So when we go on that whole excursion, we're gonna have to hit you up and make a little mini tour. As
you're saying this, Tony just texted me a moment ago. We got to get him out here, is what she said.
Yes. Yeah.
So her and I, that's actually on my list of questions. If I ever go back to my list of questions, one of them is, do you teach classes, and would you come and teach at WitchLab?
Absolutely. And eventually we're going to have to go to Ohio because that's where Devin's from. And he has family out there still. So eventually, like as the husband, I need to go out there and meet the family and do all that. So
we're in Ohio.
Time. Which also means that if you guys want, you can get 2 authors for the price of 1.
Fuck yeah. I would love that. Where's he from? Where in Ohio?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's even said before.
It's just Ohio.
I think it's just some like excuse me, but I think it's just some bumfuck area in Ohio that like isn't near a major city.
That's but you're no more than 2 hours away. That's the thing. Like Ohio's not that big. Well, that's not true. But you won't be more than 2 hours away from me because I'm the very center. And Tony lives in Columbus with me.
I mean, we would make it work. I definitely want to see the Buckland Museum. I would love to come to WitchLab, and I definitely need to go to the Troll Hole. So, which is funny because I always think of I don't know if you've ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my God, that's all I can think of when you say it.
Yeah, like, and it's inappropriate to like talk about on this interview, but I can't not think of that when I think of Troll Hole.
I sing Dayman way too often. It's just a thing. But yeah, this trolls. Yeah. Watch It's Always Sunny.
Oh my God, they should have a Danny DeVito troll doll. Why doesn't that exist?
I don't know. You sure it doesn't? I don't know. I feel like I need to make one now, even though I don't even care about troll dolls at all. Like I don't care at all. But I would go because it sounds insane. Okay. I feel like I have so many things I want to. Okay. First, Sybil Leek was somebody I wanted to bring up to you because she is somebody who wrote in her book, I think in the fucking 70s, about doing like remote healing, which is something you talk about, like dealing with like focusing on a person and putting yourself out to them, right? And like and you talk about the like, you know, the amber circle of light and going out and searching for that person that you are wanting to focus on, and for doing a reading in, is what you had talked about in the book. But that's what she talked about too, was setting a time that they knew that she would be sitting there focusing on them to do this remote healing thing.
Interesting.
It's Diary of a Witch, which I didn't read.
We have 3 different versions of that, so I need to reread it.
You have 3 different versions of that book?
Yeah, I collect her work because it's hard to find. It's so hard to find her works, which is crazy because of like who she was and how much she wrote. I think it's her family that has chosen to let it fall out of copyright and publication. But anyways, you were saying yes. So Sybil Leek.
So yeah, so yeah, I have her thing, and I have her book on display, and I have pictures of her. And I just think that she was such a forerunner in putting things out there. I think I the copy of the book I have is from the 70s. It's got like that plastic on it, like you put in libraries.
Is it the one with the kind of like Sesame Street looking snake?
Maybe it's almost like a
orange and yellow,
like a bubbly Diary of a Witch.
Yeah, I think it's that one.
It's a hardcover.
Yeah, it's a hardcover.
Yeah, but yeah, I think somebody definitely it's got like that protective plastic stuff on it that they put on in libraries. I know it wasn't a library book, but
I got a signed one. I bought one online, like because I'm scouring, and she signed it to someone I don't like, Irene or something. But still, it's like it's cool that like her signature's on it.
I was just reading something. Oh, I'm reading a Stephen King novel, but in that they talk about how non-personalized signatures are worth more later on. I didn't know that. So if it's just signed and not like personalized, then it's worth more. I don't know. That's interesting. Also, Mortella says that there is one. There is. I think she's talking about the troll doll of
Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm on it.
I think we need to look at that. So there's a link, everybody, for later on.
I'm gonna text them afterwards and get that link directly from Mortellus.
And that reminds me, Mortellus is actually going to be on the show in November, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Yep. November.
I love Mortellus. We chat all the time on text. They were actually integral to Mastering Magic. They were one of my sensitivity readers, and
that's fantastic.
They probably gave me the most feedback of shit that I, as a white cis male, like it didn't think of. Yeah, like not that like I'm trying to be, I go out of my way to try not to be an asshole.
Well, you got sensitivity readers. I'm pretty sure that's a step in the right direction of trying not to offend.
Right. So, they're in the acknowledgements. I have a whole thing about Mortellus, because really, like, they helped me totally not only reshape certain parts of the books and how I talk about things, but it was also an educational process because it's like certain stuff I just was not aware of, that it's like, I'm so glad that I know this now, which can be hard in general because, anytime you get any sort of editing feedback, even from your editors, it can be very, very difficult. Especially if you talk to any author, like the editing process sucks, and getting feedback on your work sucks while you're editing it. But this was really enjoyable, and I believe, and I'm hoping that is made the book a lot more inclusive and a lot more welcoming for everyone. So, sorry, just little love tirade for Mortellus.
Oh, no. Don't be sorry about that. That's wonderful. I love it. Mortellus and I actually did a Christmas show together a couple of years ago. It was wonderful. She told us all about how Santa is the patron saint of prostitutes.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I know. They filled us in on so many cool things about Santa and Christmas and stuff, and that was really fun.
That's so cool. They have a new book coming out soon too.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to read an advanced copy of that, and it's really, really good as well.
Excellent.
So.
Excellent. I need to I need to get on that because Mortellus, when does your next book come out? And can I get an advanced copy before you come on the show? I'd love to read that. My copy of Do I Have to Wear Black is actually a printed out manuscript because they sent me the PDF and I can't read on a computer, so I fucking printed it. But that's my copy of Do I Have to Wear Black. That Christmas show was awesome. Where is this? Why are you not working? Why is my thing not working? Hold on. There we go. The Christmas show was awesome. It needs to happen annually. We wore really bad sweaters. We had props. It was ridiculous.
I'm all about tacky Christmas sweaters.
It was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah, I got one with Santa in a spaceship. Why are my things not working? Come on.
I have a really cool Baphomet, or no, it's Krampus. It's Krampus, but the back it's like Krampus's Baphomet. I paid way too fucking much for it. It's one of those like witchy, trendy clothing brands that charge way too fucking much for their apparel. But
like
that
Society 6 or something.
Yeah, like there's certain
like great stuff. But
yeah, it's great stuff, but it's just like super, like I wouldn't normally spend that, you know. I think it was like a $300 sweater.
Yeah, that's not Society 6.
Yeah,
I don't know who that is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some high-end shit.
Yeah, and normally I wouldn't, but like it's such an amazing tacky Christmas sweater, and it's like it's not like screen printed, it's like actually
like knitted.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
Yeah, if you have another Christmas show, I'll wear it while I watch.
I think that maybe we should do like a group Christmas show. That would be funny. We'll get Jason Mankey, Amy Blackthorne, Mortellus, I don't know, anybody else who wants to be a part of that madness, because that would be so much fun. I'll make you all sing carols with me.
I love all those people. So
I do too. I love them so much.
It's like during your announcements at the beginning, like all the people you're listing, I was like, no one could see me, but I was like, yay, I love that person. I love that person. Especially Evo. I'm such a fangirl for Evo Dominguez Jr. Like in my dedication to him, I even talked about how I half jokingly say when I grow up, I want to be Evo Dominguez Jr. And it's only half a joke because I do want to be Evo Dominguez Jr. when I grow up. So
I love that man version. In a whole way. I love him in a whole way.
Yeah.
He came out here to visit us. This is crazy because of who he is. He approached me about being on the show, which, what? Yes. And then he came on the show, and we had like a pre-interview. Like he and I actually got on like a Zoom call or something, and we had a pre-interview, and then I think so. Anyway, and then he came on the show, and then he came out here to visit us. I am so in love with that man in a whole way. He is like just the most calming presence. Tony actually set up an event for us where we all went to this Italian restaurant where you sit at this monstrous table, and there was like 15 of us at this big round table that actually had a sculpture of the bust of the Pope in the middle. But we were there for a seance, and I got to sit next to Evo for this, and it was amazing. And if I lived near him, I would ask him to be my teacher. Like,
I totally.
I haven't had many teachers, and he is somebody who I just gravitate towards, and I love, and I trust in a way that doesn't even make any sense.
He's someone that I bug all the fucking time. Like, I refer to him as an informal mentor because I'm constantly messaging him or calling him up with like, hey, explain this thing. Bye, Mortellus.
Hi, sweetheart. I love you. Sorry. So you bug him all the time.
Yeah. There's very few people that I would refer to as a master of magic in the sense of being an adept Evo is absolutely hands down one. Like, he is a rare magical creature that if anyone has the opportunity to see live or interviews or get his books, do it. And I think a lot of that also has to deal with not is also another person that I would refer to that as Dolores Ashcroft Wakiki, which was one of his teachers. And like the stories about her, like I never had got the opportunity to meet her, but I hear the stories from the elders, and they speak of her like she's a fucking X-Men, like supernatural, like crazy abilities.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I want to be that. Like, why did we get like? So I'm reading this book called Psychic Witch that I think is going to help me become some sort of like superpower psychic person. I know this is a weird tangent, but I honestly feel like if I could actually like force myself to have a regiment of sorts, I could, with the help of your book, get myself to the point where I could raise the level of witchiness about myself that I have insecurities about.
mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like, yeah. I am insecure about my psychic levels because people, they automatically assume that I know things and stuff. And the thing is, I randomly know things. I randomly hear things. My psychic abilities are fucking random. Like, mm-hmm. I often know what people are talking about before they tell me. I often know weird things, but there's no control. And so I feel like, and this is going to sound weird and sort of on topic too, is that I feel like Evo is a grandmaster that I'm almost too intimidated to learn from. If that makes sense.
But at the same time, like, he's one of the most unintimidating people ever.
Most
it's
accessible.
Like Selena Fox. Like, Selena Fox is so intimidating to me, but she as an individual is so unintimidating and so welcoming and
so sweet.
And Evo's like that too, but
I don't think I would have ever approached him. Again, my whole relationship with Evo is because of him. And now he's coming for the dark market. He's going to be here. I get to spend 3 days with him. And I love it. I got to sit next to him at the seance, which I purposefully made that happen. But yeah, anytime that man is going to talk about anything magical based or related, yeah. He did a whole talk on inner landscapes. Mm-hmm. And I sat there and took so many notes because it was just, it was intense and it was wonderful and it was a ton of information. But it's sort of like, okay, I just need to absorb as much as I can from this man while he's in front of me.
Yeah.
And he's told me, you can bother me whenever and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't even know what
that, and I took full advantage of.
I don't even know what questions to form to go at this man with. Like, I don't even. It's stupid, but I know I'm starstruck, even though I think we're friends.
No, I get it. I love him on every level. Like, he is just an amazing creature.
Yes.
And that's why I half jokingly say I want to be Evo Dominguez Jr. when I grow up, because I do. Like, whatever the Mat Auryn version of what Evo Dominguez Jr. is as a person, as a magician, as a priest, as an author, like, that's definitely inspiration.
Yeah, I feel you. I also want to be him when I grow up. I want to be the Tiffany Boggins version of Evo.
Right. Yeah.
I just want to instill his calmness, his wisdom, and then the ability to share it with others. I want to imbibe and imbue, or whatever the right word is. I want to make that happen and then give it to people, because he makes me feel good, and I want to do that for other people. And Greg says, when is the dark market? So the dark market is October 22nd and 23rd. And Evo is not only teaching 2 classes there, he's doing 2 lectures, but he has a table. He's doing readings.
Ooh.
Oh, I know. I know.
I'll go get a reading.
Please. You coming to Columbus? Where are you? Where do you live? Where's home?
So I am in the Bay Area of California. So okay. I'm not in San Francisco, not in Oakland, but like That's close enough to give people an idea.
So you're in California.
I'm in
You're
California.
you're somewhat close to Alcatraz.
Yes. I hate using the word native, but I haven't figured out which word to replace. I'm a California native. I'm
You were born
from
there.
California originally. And then I moved to Massachusetts for several years for witchcraft training and to work in Salem as a psychic and build all of that up. And then I
You went to
moved.
Salem to learn how to be a witch, and you worked with Lori Cabot, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. I,
How long were you in Salem for?
6, 7 years, something like that. So again, I didn't live in Salem, but I was close enough to like move there. I don't know if I'd want to live in Salem.
I've never been to Salem.
Chaos. It's great
I
as
hear.
a visitor, as a
I
tourist.
hear it's sort of like New Orleans, right? It's sort of like
Yes.
crazy touristy, really fun, definitely worth it. You need to check it out, but I've never done it.
So it's like if you take New Orleans Mardi Gras and you mix it with like the Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween Town, that is October in Salem. So it's awesome, like as a visitor, as a tourist, but it's very much like Disneyland, where like Disneyland isn't as awesome when you work for Disneyland, you know.
Fair, friend. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, when you're like sort of behind the scenes,
Yeah.
when you're wearing the psychic mascot mask, like dancing around and yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like the experience that I got from that, and I'm not just talking about like training with like Lori or Christopher or whatever, but like just the psychic sweatshop aspect of readings. Not only taught me a lot about my own psychic ability and the things that I was being taught and new things for me to tweak and modify and create on my own, but it taught me a lot about dealing with people, which is why I want to share that at my talk I'm doing at NWTS this October. So I don't regret anything, but like I would literally take half a month off in November to just like rest and sleep. Like there's no amount of grounding and shielding, and you know, when you're doing like 11 to like 13 hours straight every day for a month straight, like it's just, yeah. I'm one of those people that like, you know, like I would teach and now I do follow it, but I would teach people like how to take care of them and how to take care of themselves and how to do these things properly and healthily while professionally not doing that at all, you know. So but I'm a Pisces, so it's very, you know, it's very normal for me to care more about like other people's well-being, you know, and then like martyring myself, you know.
So your Pisces sun, what's your moon?
My moon is Capricorn.
Okay. And rising?
Sagittarius.
This all makes so much sense.
So my whole chart is pretty much Pisces and Sagittarius. My only Earth is my Capricorn moon, which I think is funny because it's sort of like my my life vest, right? Because without it, like I would be too emotional, I would be too sensitive, including psychically. But the Capricorn moon lets me just shut that shit off and just disassociate. Like, so like there's literally a point where it's like, okay, I'm done. Like we're done feeling whatever this is. Like we're moving on. Like, you know, there's yes. The Capricorn is the devil card. It is Capricorn is what people think Scorpios are, but Capricorns actually are.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Whoa. Okay, first off, the fact that the devil card is Capricorn. I'm not great at putting astrological signs to tarot, but that's fucking interesting, man. Damn. That's nuts. And isn't the Scorpio, isn't death Scorpio?
I believe death is Scorpio. Yeah.
I believe it is too.
Yeah. Which is very
yeah,
Scorpio.
that's crazy.
Scorpio energy is all like sex and death and, you know, mediumship and
Right.
those kind of magical mysteries. Um, whereas Pisces is the like uber, which is funny because Lori Cabot and I are actually, our birthdays are a day apart. Um, which is awesome on one level, but like sucked being in Salem because like I never got my birthday not be overshadowed by like the epic Lori Cabot. But I always thought it was really interesting that like we're a day apart, and I mean obviously many years apart, but like our birthdays are a day apart,
That's
and
crazy.
we focus on a lot of similar things in our work in the world. Even within occultism, like we have the same sort of niche. Like I give a lot of credit to Lori Cabot. I see Lori Cabot's work as like the grandmother of psychic witch in the work that I do. And I see Christopher Penczak as like one of the fathers of the like polyamorous fatherhood of what my work is, and he was a student of Lori Cabot's.
I really didn't realize. So the limited information I have about Lori Cabot, I never really looked into her teachings or anything like that, was that she was the Witch of Salem, and that she really legitimized witchcraft in a whole way. And I appreciated that. I didn't really realize that she had such a focus on psychic development. And I think that's fucking amazing. I think that's really cool.
There's a whole Unsolved Mysteries episode about her. And it's badass if you can track it down. You can find little clips online.
Wait, is it the one where she helps them find like lost people or dead people or
a dead
like
body that the Salem police couldn't find? So what it was this woman was missing, and Salem police couldn't find her. And I guess one of the officer's wives was taking Lori Cabot classes, and she convinced her husband to go in and talk to Lori. So Lori like totally tuned in and was like, this is where I see it. This is, I see this man pushing her off a boat. I see her, in this location, blah, blah, blah. They end up finding the body in that location and finding out that that story is most likely true since she went on a boat with this dude. But then they couldn't find the dude once they found the body, because they had already interviewed him, and he's like, oh, I don't know this person,
Right.
So what she did was she went back into her like witchy shit, and she's like, I'm going to do a binding spell on him, and you are going to find him in this area, like by the border of Canada, because he's going to make a very bad mistake, like a very dumb mistake that most people would overlook. And that's exactly where they found him, because he decided to enter an empty cabin and stay there for the night. But the neighbors knew, like, hey, those people that live there aren't here during the season, so they called the cops. So it was just one of those, including details of like, he has a mustache now or something. Like, it's very fast. It's just, It's Lori Cabot. It's Lori Cabot level of like, psychic witch stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to find that. And so Sonia missed out on the horrible thing you said about Capricorns. that they're what people think Scorpios are, but they're really Capricorns.
Yeah. So like all the shit talk you see online and memes and stuff about Scorpios tend to be Capricorns. And I'm saying this as a Capricorn moon. It's did you ever watch The Thrilling Adventures of Sabrina?
Yeah.
So the aunt, Zelda, was written to be a Capricorn.
Okay.
And like the writer says that, and she totally exemplifies it, and that's totally Capricorn energy of just like, it's not bad, but it's just very like no time for bullshit and coddling and
I don't think that's bad at all. I actually enjoy that. There's a lot of people I treasure because they're that. I appreciate that energy.
Yeah. Not everyone does.
I feel like Scorpios are a little bit more trying to not use the word dishonest. I'm a Scorpio moon, and so it's sort of like a it's like they have this like underlying thing where they want what they want to what they want to be shown as and what they actually are two different things.
Possibly.
That
That
makes
hasn't
sense.
been my experience with Scorpios.
Both of my
Um,
ex-husbands are Scorpios.
well, and that could be a factor too. And it could also, I do find that there are differences in like gender as well.
Mm,
Whether someone is male, female, non-binary, whatever, like I find that that has, like it's expressed a little bit differently. Uh, but my experience is Scorpios tend to just they have a bad rap because they tend not to be warm right away because they don't trust people right away. So it takes a lot to get a Scorpio to trust you, but if they trust you, like they love the shit out of you and like they will kill for you. And their
no,
biggest thing is they just don't want you to lie to them. And what they interpret
that's true.
as
I
what a
don't.
lie is may not be what like other people consider as like, no, that wasn't a lie. Like I just, happened not to say this one part of it. So
Weird.
that's my experience.
Mhm.
But I also find it's interesting that a lot of the music that I am obsessed with is written by Scorpio women. Bjork is
Interesting.
Bjork is like all Scorpio. Like pretty much her whole chart is all Scorpio. Bat for Lashes, the singer is Scorpio. My favorite band in the world that I'm obsessed with is Snow Ghosts.
I saw you
And
post about them. I want to look them up so
oh my
bad.
god, look them up, look them up. It's so good. So good. Like it's like the witchiest shit you will ever find. Like
Okay.
and it's beautiful. But like she's a Scorpio too. And so, I think it's interesting that like, I'm drawn to that kind of Scorpio artistry.
Interesting. Man. Yeah, astrology. So I was doing some homework on you earlier today, and one of the interviews that I saw a little snippet of, you were saying that your publisher was saying that there's too much astrology in the book,
Yes.
in the new book, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was one
You're
of the
like, what? How do you separate astrology? And just as a really quick side note on this, Christina says, has someone wrote a book that goes with tarot and astrology? Because I had no idea it was connected. Everything is connected.
yes.
Tarot is connected to astrology, which is connected to Kabbalah, which is connected to psychic stuff. Everything is connected. Everything, every avenue you can go down to learn something about magic is connected to all of the other ones.
So tarot, as we know it, like the Rider-Waite Smith, is based on the Golden Dawn's version of the tarot, and the Golden Dawn's purpose was to take tarot and apply all these correspondences to it, because they were all about correspondences. So, like astrology, Kabbalah, tarot, for them are all intricately tied. And that runs throughout like pretty much all Western esoteric systems. When it comes to tarot and astrology, particularly beginner-friendly books that aren't like too overly complicated, I recommend the work of Teresa Reed, who is a friend
Okay.
of mine. She's known as the Tarot Lady, but not only are her books really good and beginner-friendly, but like her personality just shines through the books, and like she's just such an entertaining speaker.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna write that down real quick. So Teresa Reed, I feel like I've heard her name before, and I feel embarrassed that I don't know what she's written. What has she written?
So she's written Tarot No Questions Asked. She's
Who's her
written
publisher? Do you know?
Wiser.
Oh, okay, great.
So on Instagram and like everywhere, her moniker is the Tarot Lady.
Okay.
And she is probably the only person I know who deals with imposters even more than I do.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, she can't get verified either. And she has been in a lot more major publications more often than me. And she literally fits their criteria that they want, and they won't verify
Still
her.
no.
Yeah.
It's like they're not even trying. I
Yeah.
swear
Well,
to God.
it is because it's based on who is reading the application, whether they decide if you're important or not. But the criteria that I've gotten from, through back channels of talking to people that work for Meta, is they want you to be in major publications, like Vice or major news stream things that are
Vice is a
popular,
major publication news stream?
according to them. Yes.
Do they own it or something? What?
No, but it's very like popular.
I
Lots
know
of
Vice
news.
is popular, but
Yeah. So you have to have something like 5 discussions about you in those things within a 2-month period, and it cannot be an interview or a review of your book, which
so you just have to have had made the news.
Our industry, yeah, which is why, you'll also get like a 17-year-old who had viral TikToks be verified, so it's just.
Got you. That's stupid.
Zuckerberg.
What?
Zuckerberg.
God damn it. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So pretty much just the Satanic Temple. That's it. That's the only people who can get verified. I'm pretty sure
they totally fit the criteria, which more power to them, but
always. I love what they're doing. I really do. I know there's a lot of weird fucking internal turmoil shit.
But I like what they stand for. I don't know a lot of the inner drama. I know that everyone, every organization, every group is going to have internalized drama. And I'm not privy to that because I'm not involved with the Satanic Temple, but, for what they stand for, I'm all about. Like, I'm all about the separation of church and state. I'm all about, every individual is the owner of their body and is the only person who has the say in it,
I think that they're geniuses for coming up with a structure. I mean, between Doug Messner and Malcolm Jerry, they have come up with the structure that they can go forth and fight. And I'm really appreciative that they have that. I'm really appreciative that Doug is the front man, because he can field any fucking question that you throw at him. And it's smooth. And I know that he rubbed his balls on the tombstone of the Westboro Church's founder's mother's grave.
Was that to make the gay?
That was the gay wedding.
The pink Sabbath or something. What did they call it? The pink mass. I think
it was forever ago. It was so long ago. But it's one of those things that like hurts his credibility, but at the same time was really fucking funny when it happened.
So funny.
So I interviewed Doug in a room that we broke into in the top floor of the student union at OSU here, because he was here for a Secular Student Alliance thing, and I had asked him, because I knew he was coming to town, if I could interview him, and so he had said yes, and so I happened to be volunteering at the thing anyway, and so I went and I got my balls up and I went and talked to him, and I was like, hey man, I emailed you like months ago, and and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we went and found a room like way up in the top of the student union where we were not supposed to be there, but we sort of like broke into this room. It was open. But we had this long interview, and he talked a lot about inner stuff in the temple at that time, where he was getting rid of some of the other founders. This was a long time ago. I forget what the other founder's name was. He wasn't even a founder. He was like a higher up, but he started. So there was a Vice thing that they were doing. And this guy started spouting off all this fucking racist shit and started playing Screwdriver in the background, like that old, like punk rock racist band.
Okay.
Like it's an old skinhead band.
Okay.
And they were like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing? And so having, I talked to him for a long time and got a real feel for who he was as a person. And I think he's rad. Like, I think I really understand where he's coming from. And it is a huge organization to run. I'm not trying to like go off on a tangent about the Satanic Temple, but
We're both kind of tangent.
What's that?
It's a tangent conversation.
Is,
you overlook mine, I'll overlook yours, and
welcome to WitchLab Wednesday Live. This is how it goes. We can cut each other off. We can just talk. It's fine. But yeah, I feel like I really got a feel for him and the organization. But I also know that humans are humans, and I'm sure there's lots of weird shit that has gone on. But overall, they really are trying to do the good work. I really do believe that. I've never been a member because I don't really like being members of things, but I am a supporter and I will continue to be so. A loud one. Like, you know, I used to say that every time I would post something about being satanic or the Satanic Temple, I would lose 10 followers and gain 20. Because being who you are, it attracts the right thing.
Exactly. And you know, like I've also seen, you know, political people on the left criticize them for like their tactics and what they're doing. But it's like, but they're getting shit done. They're getting the shit done that like you guys aren't, you know, because they are using, you know, this religious,
they're using the fucking structure that is in place against itself. And they have lawyers who are also, Stu Hahn is their lawyer. And he's fucking amazing. I love that guy. He like dresses up and goes to court and then does his fucking metal band at night. I fucking love that guy. I think that I want to live in a world where the Satanic Temple makes a difference. I really do.
I want to live in a world where we don't need a Satanic Temple, you know. You know, not to say anything against them, but like, you know, the fact that we do need them in our country is.
And here's the thing, they're not power hungry. If their job was no longer needed, they'd be like, fucking sweet, let's go bounce and do something else.
Right.
Yeah, I love them. I love the fact that they don't, they have tax exempt status, but they pay taxes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Protest.
That's brilliant.
Little things like that. I just love it.
Well, because it makes sense because they're probably against, you know, tax exempt status for churches.
They are. And so they have the status and they don't use it.
That's great.
Yeah. So I've had you on here now for 2 hours. How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
You good? I'm great. I'm having the best time. I feel like I could talk to you forever. I'm not kidding at all, but I don't want to keep you forever either. So let me see. Let me look at my list of stuff. Maybe I got more questions. Who knows?
Okay, let's see.
So we did talk about. Wait, did you answer? Do you currently do any teaching online, like on a regular basis? Like, can people access your teachings?
So not publicly. I do teach within Sacred Fires, but that's not an open public thing. I am actually working right now on the Psychic Witch course for my husband. Well, and it's mine now. Our online school. I want to say company because, you know, we have a business that like has everything like the store and then the online. So Modern Witch University, which is where you can go and do Black Rose Witchcraft, which is kind of our like level 1. I'm working on a course for Psychic Witch that not only goes over the material, and I'm going to do what everyone's been fucking asking for forever, which is record the meditations in a meditation way for people to have access to. But I'm also going to be giving more than what's in the book. Because when you write a book, not everything can make it into it because of word count. So there's a lot of things that like add to it that may not have been like vitally important to go over. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm working on that and I'm hoping to have it out in time for the book release. So October.
So there will be a place that people can access your teachings.
Yes.
And real quick, Betty Ann says, can you give the name of that band again? Snow Ghost?
Snow Ghost, yes. So they're badass because like all of their lyrics are based on folklore and witchcraft and mythology and stuff of that nature. They're British. I think they're living in Ireland at the moment, but they're British. And it's just like it's just awesome. You got to listen to it. It's very beautiful and feminine, and it's like if you like Radiohead, if you like Bjork, if you like
I love
um,
Radiohead.
witchy and folklore type stuff, like it's hard to compare them to anything, and like each album is kind of different. But there's a little bit of an electronic element. There's a little bit of a rock element, but it's like kind of sad, like it foggy day, raining, Portisheady types. I just it's amazing. It's to me it's the perfect band. So check them out, support them. I want them to keep making more music. So
Right.
you
That's the thing. Support the things you love.
yeah.
Okay, so speaking of things you love,
Uh-huh.
let's talk about you got married.
I did get married. Yeah.
So Devin Hunter
Yes.
is also a huge fucking name in the magical community. You guys are like a power couple, yes?
Yeah. Well, power quad because we are
I
polyamorous.
wasn't sure how much you would like to
Yeah.
expand on this.
We are polyamorous. So Storm Fairy Wolf and Chaz Bogan are married, and they've been married for like fucking ever. And then Devin entered their relationship and has been with them for a little bit over 10 years. And then I entered the relationship. So because
When was that?
polyamory and legal stuff is difficult, we can't all marry each other. So I married Devin, which is good because it's also an age thing. So we can. What was your question?
What do you mean an age thing?
Well, because they're older than us.
Okay.
Yeah. And a
How
lot of
long
people
have you
don't
been-
realize that because,
Because witches are
we
ageless.
do the gay magic and we all kind of look the same age.
Okay, so how long have you been in the relationship? That was my question.
Formally for about a year.
Okay. Informally?
Informally, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
But I've known them and been friends with them for like a really, really, really long time. So it's just kind of a natural progression that did occur, which is funny because like Devin was so resistant, especially because I used to be his student, which is what the Intro to Psychic Witch is. And so he they're all very very good boundaries when it comes to students and people, but then I wasn't a student anymore. Like I got my priest status. Like we are equal in the eyes of our goddess in our tradition. And he still wasn't going for it, but I get what I want.
I'm a good sorcerer. What can I tell you?
That's why I write books about magic and manifestation. So so now we're because all of our work is like our life work is on the same page. It is we all do have the same mission. So it's just awesome that we all get to because not everyone with their partner or partners does the same thing. So the fact that like we all do is awesome because it's like a lot of support, a lot of creativity, and a lot of teamwork that is involved.
So I know people have a lot of questions about polyamory, and they have a lot of questions about how a 4-person relationship works.
Lots of talking.
So much communication. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Dan Savage, I'm a huge fan of Dan Savage, and something that he used to say was like, I've been to lots of first anniversaries of thruples, but not very many past that. Right. And so Devin being a part of this relationship for 10 years is huge.
Yeah.
Right. And then for you to enter this like that, I can imagine that it would be scary to add somebody new to something that was working that so many people already think is a tipsy boat.
Right. Yeah. So interestingly, a lot of the weirdness that we got when I entered the relationship was actually from polyamory people in throuple. I hate the word throuple, but in throuple relationships.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. But there was something about it that seemed to spark some sort of weird, um, um, like insecurity or something. And I don't fully understand, and I don't want to like project, but I do know
But I
that
feel like that's what they were doing. I feel like they were also projecting at the time, because why else would they have a fucking opinion if they weren't sort of, you know what I mean? Like when people come at you with a problem, usually it's about them, not you.
yeah, whatever. Like I wouldn't be in a poly relationship if I cared what people thought about my relationships. Which is one of the blessings of being gay, and growing up gay, is that, I quickly developed, maybe not quickly, but I ended up developing that ability to not give a shit, like what people think about, who I love and how I love. So it's I always think it's weird when um, pagan people can't wrap their mind around poly. And I don't mean that in the sense that, like, if you are, you should be. I don't think everyone should be poly. I don't think everyone should be monogamous. I think people should do what they want. But I think they should at least understand intellectually the idea of being devoted to more than one person, and like you would be devoted to more than one deity, and your relationship with each of those deities is different, and one isn't necessarily better or worse,
or takes away from one of the other.
Takes away from one, exactly. So that's, like, when you really break it down, we have like I don't want to do the math, but like 9 relationships, because there's the group relationship, but then there's the individual relationships amongst us. And we don't do the poly thing where it's like, my primary, my secondary, that kind of a thing is just sort of like all equal. Like we're all a giant love boat. So
oh, giant gay love boat.
Giant love gay boat. Yeah. I mean,
I love it. So
my youth pastor could see me now.
And so I think when you were saying it's surprising that pagan people can't, because part of being pagan is being open-minded to a different thing than you may have thought. Being you actually say that in the book. Open-mindedness is huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even the word, even the word polyamory comes from the pagan community. Oberon Zell's wife is the one who coined the term for their relationship.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those, like, when I talk about it, people get.
Is that really where polyamory came from? She did that, really?
Yeah. You can even find like articles outside of paganism on polyamory, and it goes back to Morning Glory. Yeah, she coined it.
So did they have like a commune thing in California?
I don't know the details.
I did a lot of research on polyamory at one point, and that was like, I remember reading about where that term came from.
So that may be how outside sources referred to it, as like
sex at dawn
compound or something. But I don't know if that's the word I would describe for what they did. But I'm not. I respect their work, but they're not figures that have necessarily influenced my magical path, or that I have any connection to lineage-wise. So I don't know as much about them as people that are in Oberon school would have.
Sure. Yeah. I don't either. I honestly, most of the information I know about Oberon comes from Tony, because she is friends with Oberon, or did he pass away?
Oh, I don't know. His wife did a couple years ago.
I'm not going to speculate on that even, but I know that they were the ones who made unicorns for Barnum and Bailey.
Yes. Yeah.
So they were front runners, innovators, a lot of things. For those
Yeah,
of you who
it's
don't know,
actually
they cultivated goats to have single horns and sold them to Barnum and Bailey to as unicorns.
yes, that's
Fantastic.
they
We have,
sure did.
you know what? The magical community goes way back, and it's so interesting. Every time, seriously, every time I have dinner with Tony, I find out shit that I'm like, what? Wait, what? And usually she has pictures. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool pictures of them with
and
their
here she is.
goat unicorns.
Yes, Morning Glory passed away.
Yeah.
But Oberon, no, still alive.
I believe he's still around. Last I heard.
Yeah. Otherwise, Tony would have said,
Yeah, he's kicking it. He's
he's living his old pervert life.
I
I'm kidding. That's a joke.
am not associated with that comment you just made at all.
Tony is. Oh yeah. She probably wrote that before I said pervert, though. Come on, all the old fucking magical masters were a little perverted. Why do you think Skyclad's a thing?
Yeah, I don't know Oberon well enough to speak to that.
I meant Scott Cunningham. Wait, yeah, no,
Well,
Gerald Gardner. I mean Gerald Gardner. That's what I meant.
Scott Cunningham was.
He was like Skyclad or not. I don't care what you do. But Gerald Gardner was like, no, naked. We're doing it naked.
Yeah, well, Scott was gay and he was in the closet. So.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in. I actually realized he was gay. I didn't know he was.
It's been very hush hush because his father was very adamant that Llewellyn and people in general did not know that, or that he died of AIDS, which he did. But his sister is, like, my dad's dead. Like, it's important that people do know that, Scott was gay and that, Scott did die of
his sister or his daughter?
His sister.
Oh.
Yeah, Christine is his sister.
After. Gotcha.
So Christine talking about their shared dad. Their shared dad is dead. So there's no reason to hide.
Gotcha.
And it seems like the dad, it wasn't necessarily like a shame type of thing, but from his mentality, it was like, it's respectful to Scott to keep his personal life personal because of like the time period. Like we weren't as queerly liberated as a society as we are now. Hence why Scott was in the closet while he was alive.
Fair enough. But it seems to me like a lot of our male writers from early on were gay. Like, and a lot of the current, like, it seems like gay and witchcraft.
Yeah. And so like it's like Jason Mankey, I often refer to him as a unicorn, because it's very rare that we have like a cisgender heterosexual male that writes so many witchcraft books at least these days.
But he's also so very, I'm going to say this in the best way possible, so very feminine in the fact that he is a feminist, that he loves his wife so goddamn much. Like him and Ari are just...
he simps for her so hard.
Like, sickening and wonderful, and I love it. But it's like, it's not a manly thing. It's more of a feminist or gay or, or female based thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't want to make like broad general about any gender or sexuality, but like witchcraft,
we don't paint with broad strokes. I know.
Witchcraft tends to draw marginalized people and people without power, and that tends to be people who are not heterosexual males. Heterosexual cisgender males can be drawn to magic, but they tend to be drawn to other forms of magic as opposed to witchcraft, which I believe witchcraft is its own living spirit. And I believe that it does draw in, specifically marginalized people, because I believe that witchcraft, as opposed to magic in general, is about balancing the playing field through magic. and empowerment. And I think that's also why there was such a strong emphasis back in the day on the goddess in witchcraft, because that was something that was just totally not in mainstream consciousness. Nowadays, I'm rambling.
No, you're not. I'm listening and I'm formulating thoughts. Please keep going.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just, like when I think of witchcraft, I think back to Aradia. I think back to like Circe. I think back to this current of energy that is outsider, that is marginalized, and I think that it's harder in general, and I don't want to say for everyone or all the time, but it seems to be harder for a cisgender male to identify with that current of energy as
unless they are
opposed
incredibly like
right
Jason Mankey-ish.
right because otherwise they tend to be drawn to other forms of magic. It's just
Golden Dawn.
Yeah, and that just tends to be my observation. I think witchcraft in itself is its own, creature of subversive power to not saying that all witchcraft is subversive or, but like if you look at the witchcraft lore, it's usually the outsider and the disempowered using magic to balance the playing field, and I think as a spirit, even if you see it as an egregore, and I think it's more than an egregore, I think it's its own living spirit. I think it draws those people to it. So that's my own theoretical rambling. Jason Mankey is just, he's just this adorable, lovable.
Oh my God, I love him.
Creature.
No, I think you're right. I think it does draw it. So I was attracted to witchcraft and I didn't know why. I didn't find out why for so long. Like so long. I just knew that that's what felt the best to me. Yeah. And for no reason. Like, again, I grew up with no religion. I grew up with nothing that there was no reason that I was so attracted to it. But I think that there's something about it that pulls the right people to it,
Well, and I think that's why the original movie, The Craft, is so powerful, because it's all about these girls in high school who are the outcasts for different reasons. Rochelle's Black and she's bullied for it. Nancy is like trailer trash and has this reputation of being a slut, for not being a prude. The other girl is disfigured, so through magic, they're finding their power. It's about like finding a power to
and the other chick is new, and so she's sort of like doesn't have any friends, and so everybody.
She's the most privileged though. Like she's the anti-feminist wet blanket, so ruining all their.
What's her name?
Sarah.
I knew you would know.
Sarah. Oh yeah, no, The Craft is one of my favorite movies, and I know people joke about like The Craft and witches, but I love The Craft, and I've become friends with Rachel True, who's the actress who played Rochelle.
Shut the fuck up, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I have exciting future announcements about that, but
you have so much mystery.
I'm a man of mystery and intrigue.
You know what? That's beautiful, because you know what draws us to witchcraft?
Mystery and intrigue, yeah.
What knowledge do you have to share with us? I need to know. I'm not kidding. This is literally what drew me. I was like, there are people who know things, and I need to find those people who know things, and I need to learn these things because I need to know the things. I swear to you, it is the draw of hidden knowledge that draws us all.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be a fucking better way.
Mm. And I think that's why, like, as I write in my next book, I think that's why, like, when you, like, and I've seen this so many times where I see witches or magical practitioners who think that they've got it all figured out. And they think that, like, they become in this weird dogmatic, like, I've got my practice, I know my things. I don't need to read books. I don't need to, listen to other teachers. I don't need to learn more. And it's just like, they just stop. because the occult mysteries have stopped for them. They've stopped seeking like what is next, because there's always fucking more. There's always
Always.
fucking more. And as soon as you're like, nope, I've got my ways, I'm set, I'm done, I've got my answers, it's just kind of like, okay, well.
So this might be why witchcraft is so appealing to people who have ADHD, because there's always something more. There's literally my one ex-husband used to say that I researched in this. He was like, it's like the ADHD of witchcraft, because I would be reading and I'm like, oh wait, what's that mean? I would find another book. Oh, deep dive into this just so I understand this one line, right? And then I would have like 5 books laid out, right? Well, because I'm just trying to figure out one text, I'm just trying to get to the end of one thing. And he's like, Jesus Christ! I'm like, this don't fuck with my process. I need to go through all of this to figure it out, because I need to fully, because I have questions. Like someone says, do this because of this, and I'm like, wait, what's that mean? And so I think that it draws us who are looking for knowledge. We're looking for something better. We're looking for a better way. We're looking for a better way to be, a better way to live, a better way to feel on a daily basis. I have people all the time who come in and they're like, I don't understand why I'm attracted to witchcraft, but I am. And I'm like, let me tell you, you are attracted to it because you want to be comfortable in your everyday fucking life and you don't know how. I didn't realize that when I was attracted to it at the first. I didn't understand why it was so attractive to me until I started to understand what it's actually made of and how it can help me, how it can help me help others, how it's, I don't know, this fucking amazing like beam of light that if you can get into it, you can put that beam of light out to other people.
Yeah, well, and it's power. All of that is power. And a lot of these things we don't do before we find witchcraft, because we don't have power. And witchcraft brings that empowerment, both on a psychological and like everyday level, as well as spiritually and magically. The test then is what you do with that power. And that's where sovereignty then comes in, which is a big witchcraft idea as well. Because sovereignty isn't the same as being a tyrant with your magic. And this is where a lot of people start, because it's very popular now to be like, don't threefold law me, which I get. I'm not anti-curse. I wrote the foreword to Kate Fruller's book, which has a lot of cursing. My endorsements on Dorothy Morrison's Utterly Wicked. I'm not anti-curse. I'm anti being a fucking asshole with your magic, because you are
somebody put that on a shirt.
A petty sociopath. Yeah, because it's like, on one level, you either don't believe in magic, so you don't really believe, what this baneful magic will do, so you have no problem being like, ooh, I'm a big cursor.
Right.
Or you just don't care.
Or don't give a fuck.
Yeah. There is a right time and place and purpose for baneful magic. And sovereignty is about taking full responsibility of yourself and your influence and your actions and how they relate to everyone. So, for example, like a lot of people with the plagiarism thing were like, ooh, you're going to curse her. Like I could. Maybe it would be justified. Maybe it wouldn't be justified. But
really, people thought that was going to be your course of action.
I can handle it without magic, Right. And the thing is with like cursing and stuff, like there's certain things, if I would not do certain things without magic, I would not do them magically. The metaphor I use for Kate Fruller's book is magic is like a knife. And that tends to be a metaphor that's taught a lot in witchcraft. So magic is a helpful tool. Knives help us with dinner. It helps us carve furniture. It can be used in self-defense. And it can be used to harm other people. That does not mean that you stab every person who hurts your feelings or your ego. Because I don't know, I'm getting preachy.
No,
but it's morals are personal, and that's what's beautiful about witchcraft, is that sovereignty is your test. So what is your sovereignty? What are your ethics, your morals? At the same time, like, I have no problem stabbing someone in self-defense if they're coming into my home, literally looking to harm me or my family. Or take for example, if there's a neighborhood rapist on the loose, not hurting them via magic is going to hurt more people than having the ability to stop them. So it becomes a very, for me, the key is justice. Is the magic assisting in justice, or is it not?
But that's a objective
exactly
thing.
And that's what comes with
objective is the right word, right?
Yeah, it's totally like an objective thing. Or is it subjective? No,
I don't know.
No,
God damn it.
Sure. I'm
glad you don't know either. but is it
up to each witch to decide, though.
Right.
But the thing with sovereignty is taking responsibility for those actions and those decisions, and recognizing the impact that it has.
Right.
So it's like, sometimes a king, a sovereign, a queen has to do not kind things for the betterment of those around them, or self-preservation of their kingdom and stuff.
I literally have 3 teenagers. I could not agree with you more. I have to do shit all the time I do not like to do, but the thing is, it's for their best interest. Right. I'm training future humans. They're not humans yet. I meant to say future adults, but it turns out it's kind of the same. Like,
I actually think the best illustration of this is in the movie The Craft. And it's the only part is Rochelle cursing her racist, where it was a personal attack on her. It was bullying, and so to counter out that bullying, she decides to curse the girl. Her curse was not going bald as a return. Her curse, like her payment for that curse, was then having to see the girl cry in the shower as her hair is falling out. And you
watching your shit break down.
And watch, like, so it's literally like, that's what I say, like, either you don't believe in magic or you're at a level that you don't care. And like, I think both need to be looked at to see if you are in balance. Because in my past, in my arrogance, I did curse people early on in my path, because I'm like, oh, power, like, fuck you, dude. But then watching it happen and watching what happened to them, I then saw what is occurring to them is not equal to what, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just, it wasn't fair, it wasn't balanced. So then I would have to take responsibility for that and take it as a learning lesson. But
so can I ask, how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
How old do you think I am?
I have no idea. 34, 28, 56.
Yeah. I'm in my early mid 30s. Or what does Hedwig say? When I was,
I think 33 is early mid 30s.
Like Hedwig, when I was in my early late 40s or something. I don't remember.
Okay, so you need to be careful bringing up Hedwig, because I've had enough of my rose and grapefruit vodka to start singing Hedwig songs with you. So be careful.
Hedwig so much.
Be careful.
Did you see him in
Little Town?
Did you see him in The Tiger King playing the Joe whatever?
What?
Yeah, so I think it's on Netflix. So we're very off topic now. But John.
No, there is no off topic. What the fuck?
John Mitchell Cameron, is that his name?
He
plays Joe Exotic in a series about the Tiger King, and it's so amazing to watch.
He is in Sandman.
He is, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really happy to see him in that.
Oh my god, yeah. Hedwig is one of my favorite things.
Hedwig is a religious experience. It's amazing.
And I am literally the only person in my entire household who understands this. I am alone.
Well, when I get to Ohio, yeah, well.
Can we just sit and watch Hedwig together?
Yes.
I will sing that whole shit for you.
We'll make a drinking game out of it somehow.
Stop teasing me. That would be the fucking best thing ever. I actually just recently found my CD because my DVD, it was missing out of my case, and my 19-year-old daughter just recently moved out. But when she moved out, I found in her fucking DVDs my DVD. So, you know, silver lining. I lost my daughter, but I got Hedwig back. I think I've officially gone full drunk at this point, so I should probably let you go.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I hope we haven't weirded out the viewers too much.
Oh, please. These are WitchLab viewers. They have so much fucking stamina. If they're weirded out, then they can fuck off because they're not my people. Very much into, you guys are my people. Anyway, but hold on. Don't leave. I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody else. All right. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Oh, we love you, Jean. So for everybody who doesn't know, Jean runs our WitchLab book club. She's fucking phenomenal. I love her so fucking much. We've loved it. Yay! Look at this. I gotta tell you, we have never gotten this much like awesomeness at the end when we said goodbye. You Mat Auryn, you fucking brought it. All right. So like we had high expectations, just so you know, and you fucking brought it. So
that's good to know.
Look at this bullshit. We got so many people who are so excited about this and are still fucking listening and want to say thank you and good night. And I love you fucking all. I will see you again soon. I think the next show is Shiva Honey, part of the Satanic Temple. She's going to be on next month. And so I will see you guys then. In the meantime, Matt, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere on social media. If you look up my name, Matauryn, I'm easy to stalk. Be careful of imposters. All my social media is linked on my website, which is matauryn.com. You can find me in book form at the beautiful WitchLab, and along with hopefully pre-orders of Mastering Magic soon as well. And yeah.
I am putting up matauryn.com because I have access to the internet. All right. I love you all. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.